Hello, guys and gals. Welcome. Yes, welcome, welcome. So, developer update live stream is going to be starting in about 44 minutes. I think I have a graphic here somewhere. I figure we'll probably play a little bit of Diablo while we wait. Apparently, they're supposed to be giving us some more information about Diablo 4 today in this developer update live stream. I'm a little bit cautious to believe how much information they're actually going to give us, because it seems like they're just kind of feeding us what they want to feed us, you know. Yeah, no. But we are very, very close, obviously, to the server SAM, so who knows what kind of information we'll get. Maybe something juicy tidbit, just a little juicy tidbit. But that is going to be today. Here's the, oh wow, it's way too back. So May the 10th, it's going to be at 11 a.m. PDT is what they said, which is 11 a.m. PDT, translates out to about 2 p.m. EST. So we got, we got a little while. We're going to close that. They're talking about post-launch plans. Apparently, they also said they might give out some information about season start, so we'll know, when about season is going to begin. So I'm not really sure 100% on that, but maybe we'll get the Season 1 launch date. So we'll have an idea, I guess, of when Season 1 is going to begin. They did already tell us, of course, though, that Season 1 was not going to begin at launch day. So June 1st is not going to be season start. June 1st is just going to be the launch of the game. And season start is not going to be until later. So, I mean, we already knew that season start wasn't coming with the launch of the game. But maybe they'll actually give us an actual date, which could be interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm starting with an Necro Darkado. Evil burning archers, man. So many evil burning archers. Burning archeroos. Yes, that is a Mang Songs in my hand. Nobody even asked. I don't care. I'm showing it off. It's fancy. The irony is it's actually higher damage output than my current setup. I was actually pretty stoked to find out it actually had some usefulness, which is usually not the case for Mang Songs. Mang Songs is one of those items that never really quite seemed as useful. Like, it never really was as good as it should have been. And for most classes, Mang Songs doesn't really equal into a good item. But I was using Heart of the Oak and Spirit before, which is +3 or +2. And although I do lose a little bit of faster cast, and all resistances, I actually gain -10% enemy fire resistance. So I'm actually gaining from it, not losing, which is pretty damn sweet. Ugh, the Great Marsh is the DZ? That's disgusting. Maybe if I had 95% lightning res and some absorption, I might go there and farm. The dev update starts at 2 p.m. EST, so we're a little bit early, of course. But that's generally because sometimes they also start early, too, so I never want to be left behind. I have the Diablo page pulled up here off screen, so I can check it out and make sure that we don't miss it. In fact, let me close some of these alternative pages so that I don't get things messed up. And that'll be up on the screen as soon as it starts, by the way. Like, I'll pull that up and we'll pick it out. Click those pincers. The pincers over the click. Oh man, sorry. I worked double shift last night. I literally just woke up, set my alarm just to come on for the dev update live stream. So don't mind a couple yawns here and there. I'm just a little sleepy. Freaking spear cats, man. I keep my shield on for the spear cats, otherwise they'll kill me. I still haven't respec'd this character. I still haven't got this character min-maxed out, so I'm gonna have to get that done. Two-handed juvie. Why did I say two-handed juvie? That is a two-handed juvie right there. That's what you call a juvie and a half. That's right. We use juvies and a half. Oh, so I have a special new video type that's going to be coming out soon. I actually haven't posted it yet, but it's basically just music. So I play music on my channel all the time, like lo-fi and metal and things like that. I have like a really big playlist that I like to do, and basically what I'm going to be doing, actually I've already have it uploaded, but I haven't posted it yet. It's basically just a little fun little video. It's has nothing to it except for music. So if you like my little lo-fi that I play during my streams, this is literally about 7.5 hours of lo-fi. It's literally like the entire playlist, and there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of good songs in there, like lo-fi wise. Obviously, it's not like metal or anything like that. I was actually thinking about doing another. I was thinking about doing another playlist with the metal, but that's gonna be up soon. I actually need to get that thumbnailed and post it, and then. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I was thinking about actually doing like a little playlist too, but it's about like 300 songs, so it'll take me a little while to get the playlist set up. No Cannibal Corpse. So everything on that playlist is what's called YouTube safe music, which means that it's not copyright protected. So obviously as a YouTuber, I can't post things on my page that I would otherwise be able to, you know, end up getting me banned from YouTube. So everything on the list is YouTube safe. So even if you're another YouTuber and you'd like to play it in the background while you're streaming, you could do that safely, I believe. And I haven't had any copyright strikes the entire time I've been doing it, so I would assume that you guys would be able to as well.
Can I help you?
Using Cold Sorceress in your single player account and have 6 of each keys. What character do you recommend using against Ubers? The easiest one to beat Ubers with is definitely the Paladin. I mean, there's really no easier option. I mean, there are other characters that can do it for sure, but the Paladin by far has the easiest time. Making a Uber Smiter is pretty easy to do. I mean, really all you need is a little bit of crushing blow, a little bit of open wounds, you know, just a modicum of each thing, and smite, of course, with fanaticism. Like it's a pretty solid character all in all. I mean, there's really not much to the Uber Smiter. It's not really a good character. A lot of people will tell you that the Uber Smiter, although can do his job very well, tends to be a very poor character, you know, like that actually plays the game. And they're not wrong. Like, the Uber Smiter kind of sucks at actually playing the game. But you don't necessarily need to make an Uber Smiter specifically. My North Star Smiter, which is a pure smiter that utilizes other pieces of equipment, is actually far superior to the Uber Smiter in general, and does everything that the Uber Smiter does and more. So if you really want to build, like, if you want to build it and you have the pieces like sitting around, the North Star Smiter, in my opinion, is a much better choice. I make a video about the Summon Necro Uber Killer. So there's another YouTuber. His name is Skulm. He actually has a couple videos on Uber killing with the Necromancer, including a budget Necromancer video, and it's pretty fun. Pretty fun stuff. I haven't made one because, quite honestly, I don't know, I just haven't gotten around to it. But if you do want to see a budget Necromancer Uber Killer, he's got that video up already on his page. He also has a more optimal Necromancer as well. So he's got like a very budget Necromancer Uber Kill, and then he's got the more advanced, you know, high end gear. The sorceress can do it. I've seen a couple sorceresses do Ubers, but it does require some intimate knowledge of the way the classes work and how things go. Like, you're not just going to be able to walk in there and kill stuff. Like, you need specific pieces of equipment. You know, like the bone weave boots, I can't remember what they're called, marrow walks, that have the life tap and the bone prison on them, so that you can bone prison them and lock them into place. Like, it depends on the builds too. Like, some of them can do it and some of them can't. You need lots of negative resistance, of course, to actually make that work. On top of that, you also, you know, like, you need a sunder to counter the particular resistance of the you know, like the ads. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to kill any of the ads, and they'll build up on you and eventually kill you. It's a whole thing. I mean, it's possible. It's just not easy.
Afternoon.
And that's the reason why people go with the Uber Smiter, is because the Uber Smiter is easy. You don't necessarily even need like high-end items like the, you know, like life tap gloves like Dracula's Grasps. You don't need a grief. You basically don't need anything super duper expensive to make that build work. It pretty much just comes down to, yeah, a little bit of crushing blow, things like the black rune word, which are super cheap. Things like an open wounds belt, which is pretty easy to come by. You can actually craft open wounds or open wounds on your boots, which is the preferred way, like Gore Riders. A life tap wand, so you don't even have to have, like I said, Dracula's. You can just get a life tap wand from the store. As long as you have life tap as a paladin, usually you're fine. Holy shield, you know, like to beef up your damage output, is also, you know, preferred. And then eventually, like, it gets to the point where even with like extreme budget gear, the paladin can usually do it just fine. I'm pretty sure Ubers have been killed with characters as low as like level 30. Like, I'm pretty sure that it's been done before. Like a level 30 paladin killing the Ubers. I mean, Goblin Toes are level 20 something. You could definitely utilize that one shield the normal difficulty spiked shield that has open wounds. There's your crushing blow and your open wounds right there. Crush flange mace is a particularly low level item. I'm trying to remember the exact. I think crush flange mace is like level 15 with 33% CB. So you could very easily do. Oh wow. It's a superior dust shroud, 538, 15% enhanced. It's pretty nice. You could very easily get yourself like the equipment that you need to get it done. I see your goblin toe and it looks alright, so mama let it know. Or mama let it show. That's terrible. That's a perfect dust shroud, by the way. A perfect hobo armor. I'm not sure if anybody would want a perfect hobo armor, but there's perfect hobo armor nonetheless. Superior 538, 15% enhanced dust shroud. That is pretty damn good. Would be nice for any number of things. I don't particularly like making my bases in dust shrouds because then you look like a hobo. But you might be asking, what do I mean you look like a hobo? Well, as soon as you put on a dust shroud, you look like this. You got like no equipment on. About the only thing it gives you is little shoulder pads. That's it. You get like some little hobo pads on your shoulders, and nothing else. Like you're just naked basically. It's got good defense though with the dust shroud. Well, I guess that's nice. I guess that's okay. 11 res Kuros shield. That's pretty terrible. Oh yeah, let me do a refresher on the page real quick, see if they got their live stream started. Yes, so it looks like they have the stream up. It's starting in 26 minutes and 35 seconds according to the stream. I am gonna die. Hobo with a shotgun. Pretty sure I've seen that movie, Kung Fu Joe. I'm pretty sure that's where most of my jokes come from, actually. That and The Simpsons. And Futurama. You know what? Let's just all of them. How about that? Volcanus that anus. Volcanus the anus. Coronet of absorption. I will absorb you. Blade barrier, this worth pretty good money. Need to recoup some of my money. I used a lot of it crafting the other day. Ended up with like no gold left because I was an idiot. I think I spent like 900,000 gold. I actually gave some away, you know, like also because we had so many gambling amulets for us, and so like way too much gold output and didn't really get any of it back before the stream ended. It's nice to have gold. So I've been debating the validity of using huge amounts of negative fire res and huge amounts of negative resistance just in general for the fire druid, and it's one of the reasons why I still think that Mangsong's is best in slot, even though several people have decided that they want to argue with me about the topic. It's very interesting to consider that the fire tree is not 100% physical. So think about it like this. On the Necromancer, if I run a Necromancer and I was using Corpse Explosion, everybody knows that Corpse Explosion is 50% fire and 50% physical. It is a half physical, half fire skill. So yes, Infinity will help out the 50% fire portion of the Corpse Explosion, but it does not help out the 50% physical portion of the Corpse Explosion. And so what does the Necromancer do? Well, the Necromancer utilizes amplified damage on top of things so that he has a bonus to the fire side and he has a bonus to the physical side, right? So that way Corpse Explosion hits harder. Otherwise, if he just focused on one side or the other, he wouldn't be necessarily getting the maximum amount of damage that he could possibly get in the skill. He would be getting half physical, and then he'd beef up the physical with the amplify damage, or if he had like an infinity or something like that, negative fire res, he could potentially buff up the fire side of things. But if he just ignores one side or the other, you're just ignoring 50% of your damage output. The Fire Druid's damage output is 50% physical. Armageddon is literally 50% physical damage. It has a huge physical damage component. Volcano is 50% physical. It has a huge physical damage component. Now you can't see it because I'm in the way, aren't I? Hold on. We can look at it over here. It's easier this way. So as you can see, it's 1,083 to 1,092 with a fire damage of 1,644 to 1,802. And the reason why it's a little bit more fire damage than it is physical damage is just simply because I do have like fire facets and things like that in my equipment. So if I were to like take off my arcanes, you'll notice the equation balances more because the fire damage goes down and the physical damage goes down also, but the fire damage goes down more when I take off the fire facets. So basically what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking a more balanced approach is required with the Fire Druid. I think a lot of people going with the extreme negative resistances for fire are just ignoring a huge portion of their damage, so that you're ending up with basically like half your damage. So to put it a way that I think would make more sense is, you know, like if I have, say I have 5,000 damage in physical and 5,000 damage in fire, and I have plus 100% damage, right? I'm getting another 5,000, right? But in the grand scheme of things, I'm only actually enhancing my damage by 50%, not 100%, because half of my damage is being ignored. The physical damage is just going out the window. So I need a way to enhance both at the same time, not just one or the other. Especially since, you know, like most of the time the given way that you'd like to build a character is you want to have multiple elements, because having multiple elements means you're, you know, sort of insulated against any kind of situation where a monster might be, you know, completely unkillable by fire, or, you know, very, very resistant to physical or something like that. So you have multiple elements, which is always nice. Right now I'm enhancing both, so I have negative resistance in the form of the arcanes, the Mang Songs, and the Flickering Flame. And then I also have the physical side covered with my Mercenary, so I have the amplified damage on the weapon. So when the Mercenary amplified damages the monster, the physical side of my skills, the Volcano, the Molten Boulder, and the Armageddon, which are kind of like my three main skills, that is enhanced by the amplified damage. And then the Fissure, and I don't even really count Firestorm, because Firestorm is like just sucks balls. I don't even know why people use this ability, other than the fact that they just don't have any other choice. Like, it's terrible. It's a terrible ability. And, like, I feel like we should talk about it just real quick while we have time. So, this is Firestorm right here. Like, half the time it won't even hit the targets. Like, when it does hit the target, it only does damage to the target for a very brief period of time. It dissipates way too quickly, in my opinion, and it doesn't really hit anything. Like, half the time when you're using this ability, like, because of the complete random nature of it and how it snakes and how quickly it disappears, like, you pretty much have to be in melee range to get any kind of damage output from it at all. And even though it says that it does 5,547 damage to 6,137 damage, it does not do that much damage. It doesn't. It hits the target for all of about a half a second, and I'm assuming that it requires a full second of contact to deal the 6,137 damage. So when you're using it, what happens is it just passes right by the monster. It just briefly, like for a half a second, like touches the monster, and it does maybe half of the damage that's rated here, not the full amount. Like I don't know if I can pull just one monster, but I mean, like if I just use Firestorm here, you'll see it does hit the monsters, and it does do okay if you're like within melee range. You have to be like literally in their face like this. You got to be like straight up melee range. And as a caster, I really just don't have the HP nor the defenses to really like stand in melee range most of the time. I just end up getting killed. And so if you're even just a little bit back with this skill, just a little bit, it does next to nothing. And a lot of the times it just straight up misses the targets. Like this skill, Fissure, is way better. You can cast it directly on the target. It hits multiple times. It lasts for, you know, a good, 1.6 seconds it lasts for. So it literally just lasts for quite some time. Armageddon is way better. Armageddon literally just keeps on hitting for multiple times over a long period of time. Even freaking Molten Boulder is better. Like, you can actually cast Molten Boulder from a distance, and it actually stuns the monsters, has an AoE effect, hits multiple monsters in that freaking area. And Volcano is way better. So why would you actually still use Firestorm with it being such a bad ability? The answer is you don't really have much of a choice because there's nothing else to do. Otherwise you're just twiddling your thumbs. So there's a casting delay on everything. So Volcano has a casting delay of 4 seconds, right? So you can't cast Volcano more than once every 4 seconds. So it reds out. Armageddon is on a 50-second duration, so you don't have to cast Armageddon that often at all, right? So it just sits there and it does nothing. There's a 1 second casting delay on Molten Boulder, so you can't spam Molten Boulder either. Fissure is on a casting delay of 2 seconds. So everything is on a casting delay, right? So if you cast everything that you've got, then you're just sitting there redded out, and there's nothing else for you to do other than just throw a Firestorm out. Because you might as well throw a Firestorm out at that point. You're basically just, you got nothing else to do, so you might as well hit something. Fortitude would not affect the physical damage of the skill. So Fortitude is off-weapon ED, and off-weapon ED is mainly weapon damage. So it has specifically to do with like the physical damage of weapons. And we got 16 minutes left before the stream starts. The only way you're going to affect the physical damage on the Druid is by Amplify damage or Decrepify. Amplify damage is by far the better choice. However, Decrepify can be useful too, things like Reaper's Toll. But keep in mind that Decrepify is negative 50% physical resistance, and Amplify damage is negative 100. So where Decrepify will, of course, help, Amplify damage is going to help a hell of a lot more. Rune Scepter. Why does it look brown? It's brown, boys. I mean, if you're on single player and you don't have a Soj yet, your single player characters will all benefit from having an Annie. It's just a charm that goes in your inventory. And anybody will agree that one Annie is definitely better than one Soj. So as long as you can kill him, which, you know, make sure that you can actually kill him before you sell your Soj, because otherwise you're not going to have a good time. Having an Annie is definitely going to be preferable to having a Soj, because it's going to give you stats, it's going to give you resistances, it's going to give you pretty much everything that you want. I don't think that's worth making an item out of, but that's definitely nice. I got to put that in there for right now. Because, you know, you could share it between all your characters. That's another thing. So, like, once you get one Annie, you're just going to put that on every single character that you got. You'll just put it in your shared stash whenever you need to and swoopy swap it back and forth between all your characters and call it a day. What's up, Spider-Man gamer? You want to see my gear? Yeah, let's do a gear track. This isn't really a ladder video. This is a live stream for the other thing. I'm just farming, but sure, you guys want a gear check? Let's do a gear check. Ain't no skin off my back. So my Mercenary is currently running a amplify damage lance. It's actually been upgraded from a pike, and when I get the runes, I do eventually want to upgrade this into a war pike. Basically, the entire idea of this is just that he has a very good weapon with life leech, but it also has amplify damage proc on it for me. There's very few ways to get amplify damage procs for mercenaries, and this is one of the better ways, is to get that 5% chance to cast amp on striking. He's got a treachery in just a regular ornate plate. It's really not anything super fancy. Eventually, I'll remake that in an ethereal base. And then he's got a bulwark and a demon head. Again, not an ethereal base. So I'll have to remake that eventually in an eth base. I'm currently using a Heart of the Oak, which rolled 39 on the all resistances. I got a Flickering Flame, which got a pretty bad roll on the negative enemy fire resistance, which either needs to be re-rolled or find a better helmet. I got a Spirit Monarch, rolled 34% on the faster cast. A crafted Blood Amulet, which is +2 Druid, 7% faster cast with 26 strength, 20 mana, and regenerate mana 9. It's not a bad little amulet. It is missing some resistances, but I'm doing pretty good on resist right now anyway. Arcane's Valor with +2 skills and a 5/5 fire facet. This is like pretty much the best armor that you could possibly use on a freaking, like, any kind of person that wants negative res, because not only does it give you +2 to skills, it also gives you a socket that you can put a fire facet, lightning facet, cold facet, etc. facet in. So it's just a way that you can have an extra facet and get +2 skills at the same time. Pretty decent little pair of 20% faster run walk boots with magic bind. I got some junk rings with resistances on them, nothing too special. Faster recovery little belt with some dual reses, and it's nice. It's got 2 reses, both above 20%, so I'm just running it. Mage Fist, of course, for the +1 fire skills, because I'm a fire character. I do have a 70% Flame Rift, and 1, 2, 3 Elemental Skillers right now. A bunch of, like, resistance charms. I found this freaking crazy thing in a game the other day. This was pretty nuts. Makes a good Uber charm too, like once I finally finish, because you can, yeah, Uber Mephisto is pretty nasty. Then we also have a couple other, like, little, something too great. My Annie rolled 17, 20, 10, which was amazing. That's the first one I got from the first Uber Diablo that I killed. And then we just got this torch yesterday, or the other day. It was a 1920 Druid torch. I was pretty excited about that. So between the really good Annie and the really good torch, my resistances are looking pretty solid. Dog just relentlessly barking at people. I don't even understand.
What do you need?
Overall, my gear is looking pretty good. Mang Song's is literally the same as the Hodo combo right now, except it's more fire damage. So Hodo gives me +3 skills, and Spirit gives me +2, which is 5. Alright, so that's +5 skills. The faster cast doesn't matter, because as we were talking about earlier, the faster cast is completely unimportant, because all of my skills, literally all of my skills, are on some sort of delay, which means that casting them in any kind of speedy fashion, even Firestorm, has a delay of 0.6 seconds. So they're all ridiculously hard to cast at any kind of speed, and even with Mang Songs, I'm still sitting at 50% faster cast. So it's literally the same amount of plus to skills, but it also has negative 10% enemy fire resistance. So it's technically better. It's more damage than Heart of the Oak and Spirit. It's just kind of like a glass cannon. I actually want to get my hands on a 15 fire res, and I want to socket it with a fire facet. So my eventual goal is to get a negative 15 perfect, a perfect 5/5 facet, which will bring that up to negative 20. So it'll be negative 20 with +5 fire skills, which will like blow Heart of the Oak and Spirit away as far as damage is concerned. So if anybody gets your hands on a 15% Mang Songs, I would actually like to get my hands on it. I'll trade you something for it. I don't know what I can trade you, but we'll figure something out. And I'm probably going to socket it and throw a 5/5 fire facet in there. And I'm actually going to use it.
In the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells, Diablo IV offers you more choice than ever before. Player choice is infused into everything, from how you look, the skills you use, the loot you equip, your path through the non-linear story, to how and when you choose to explore the shared open world.
We want players to play their own way and have their own choice of how they're going to build their character.
Between all of our different systems, you can really create a custom character in ways that was not available in previous Diablo titles. When you log into Diablo IV, the first thing you're gonna have to do is create your character. And those familiar with Diablo are gonna be very familiar with the screen with all the classes sitting around the campfire.
In Diablo IV, we got 5 classes. The Barbarian is your fantasy of a fierce warrior or fighter.
The Barbarian is the weapon master of Diablo IV, being able to pick up any weapon, jump into the fray, and do really badass stuff with it.
They're very strong, they're very physical. They can take different weapons for different situations and use them to their maximum effect.
The Sorcerer is really your elemental mage. You have fire, ice, lightning. You can either focus on one, or you can kind of be a jack-of-all-trades mage and use abilities from all 3.
They're a little more fragile than other classes, tend to be more ranged. The Rogue, Barbarian, they are a little bit more clever. They're very fast. They have the ability to imbue their weapons with different elemental energies, and they can modify them to do different things.
The Rogue has 2 different types of play styles. You have the ranged crossbow type gameplay, or you have the in-your-face daggers, poisons. You can lead the enemies into traps that have huge effects, more stealthy type gameplay. The Druid is really this shapeshifter.
When you cast certain skills, you change your form, what you look like and what you can do. They can turn into werebears or werewolves. If I cast a werewolf skill, I turn into a werewolf and I do werewolf things. If I cast like Pulverize, for example, which is a werebear skill, I turn into a werebear, I slam the ground really hard. Fits the fantasy, it's pretty cool. They can also become masters of nature magic with earth and storm magic. Last but not least, we got the Necromancer. They raise armies of the dead. They have different types of minions. You've got your skeletal warriors, your skeletal mages, and then your golem.
You have blood magic or bone magic that you can also take advantage of and tackle combat that way. If you've played a previous Diablo game and you enjoyed a certain play style, you can actually bring that into Diablo IV, or just try something completely new.
No matter which class you play, there's going to be multiple different avenues and fantasies that you can chase.
You can customize your character in ways you've never been able to before, with near-endless character creation and transmog options.
In previous Diablo games, you had to be attached to certain archetypes and look a certain way. And in Diablo IV, it's really up to you how you want your character to look.
You'll be able to choose from different facial structures from people all over the world. No matter where you are, you'll be able to say, hey, I can actually make someone that looks like me or looks like someone from my part of the world, which we're really proud of. You can pick a hairstyle for your character, and every class actually has a specific hairstyle that no other class can use. You can pick your eye color. We have some really fun ones. We have eye glowing, we have a bloodshot type eye, and then you can actually pick a marking, which is a tattoo or a design that covers your entire character, and there are dozens of those.
Transmog is the idea that you can take a piece of gear and change the appearance of it to look like a different piece of gear. As far as aesthetics, the sky's the limit. However you can think of making your character, you can make it that way.
Everybody's going to look completely different in Diablo IV.
One of our pillars for class design in Diablo IV is this idea that we want players to play the way that they want to. When you first start the game, we introduce you to the idea of the skill tree. As you level up, you get access to these different skills or passives or upgrades to make your character more powerful.
Each category has a few different skills that are all similar. They're either all defensive or all offensive, all ice or all fire. You can either focus on a very specific section or you can pick and choose.
The first skill point when you unlock a new skill is going to give you access to that skill. After that, you can put additional points into any skill that you have, and it's going to make it better, whether it increases the radius or adds some new effect or reduces the cooldown through some special way.
You can actually branch out in a very different direction, even if two characters actually started at the same place. The Paragon board is a late game system that once you've completely filled out your skill tree, you think you have a build, it will really let you delve into the theory crafting and the depth of Diablo 4's skill system.
And these boards, they can move through them spending their Paragon points, and they have nodes that give them very basic stats like intellect or dexterity. We also have more powerful nodes. We have rare nodes that have different effects where they can totally modify a skill to do something additional or different, or they can even make new connections between skills so that players can have new ways to play their character. Legendary nodes are equivalent to legendary powers, where they have more powerful effects that can change the builds and ways that characters play.
You can start planning this long journey of, okay, I want to hit this node, and then I want to hit this node. I'm going to apply this board, and I'm going to start from this side, and really just get into a super complex, very specific build for your character.
Legendary items are really rare and powerful items that you're going to find as you adventure through the world of Sanctuary. We have quite a few different categories of legendaries and how they do that. Some of them will actually change your skill or enhance it in some way.
Frozen Orb, for example, it might say, hey, every single time you use your Frozen Orb, it applies a new effect. And then I can actually take advantage of that new effect that it has. Even if the item itself is maybe not as good as the one you have, you can still extract that power from it, take advantage of it, and use it for your build.
One thing that our players can look forward to is that a lot of our classic, really rare, and most powerful items from previous titles are going to be returning as uniques in Diablo IV.
Unique items are very similar to legendaries, but
Wind
they're
Force.
unique, which means if that ability is actually on a chess piece, it's always going to be on that chess piece because it's more powerful than a regular legendary effect.
Crafting is a big part of Diablo IV. We have all kinds of different ways that you could upgrade and interact with NPCs to make your gear better. You can increase the item level or power of your gear, so you can actually get a piece of gear and just make it stronger. You can also add sockets to your gear so that you can put gems inside of it.
There are a
look
lot
at them
of
big
different
gems.
ways that players will be able to customize their experience in Diablo IV. Every single player is going to have a different experience and a different build at the end of the day.
Because we have all of these different ways to make your own character, there's a lot more possibility compared to previous titles of how you want to play, how you want to build your character. We really are doubling down on this idea that you can look the way you want, you can play the way you want, you can really make your own fantasy in this game.
Hell welcomes all, and so does Diablo IV. In the coming weeks, we'll be sharing even more about how to play your way. Now, our launch on June 6th is getting closer. Closer still if you got early access. And we can't wait to see you in Sanctuary. Hail Lilith, Blessed Mother.
Well, let's go. Dang it.
We're live. Hi guys. that's how I started all out. After all that anticipation.
Of all things Diablo. Joseph Pipora, I'm the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4.
All Awesome. Well, we have a really packed show today, and there's a lot of stuff, obviously, going on with Diablo lately.
It's obvious their audio's messed up.
Didn't you just get back from vacation?
Every single time they do one of these streams,
Actually, I was like,
every single time there's some sort of audio issue or hiccup and you can't hear anything that's going on.
22 days.
3 weeks. I think I've lost all
the
track of
launch?
time. 3 weeks till early access.
22 days.
22 days. Oh, look, we have a wonderful
See
countdown
there.
here.
22 days,
Yeah,
4
20
hours, 15 minutes, 42 seconds.
Exactly, until the early access actually starts. So if you actually have early access with a deluxe version or ultimate version of Diablo 4, you'll be able to play here in a little over 3 weeks, which is pretty insane to think about.
It's wild to imagine having worked this game for such a long time and then finally be able to see like we're 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it feels like we're 2 months away. We're 3 months. It constantly, it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe it's finally here. It's almost time to play Diablo 4.
But you know what we could do before launch to play Diablo 4?
Play server slam.
Hey, there we go.
No, well, I was like, I wasn't sure if you were gonna like throw it to me a little bit more or something like that.
I couldn't throw it any harder.
But
This isn't a bit, guys. We're just bad guys.
we're just at it. This is live, by the way. So yeah, we actually do have our Diablo 4 server slam. It starts on May 12th. It goes through the 14th. It's another opportunity to play Diablo 4 before the launch of the game, which is great, and it helps us a ton. So make sure to jump in this weekend. There's a lot to do. You can actually start the early download here after this stream at noon today.
Yep.
So we'll actually have early download available, and players can download on Battle.net, on Xbox and PlayStation. If you already have the beta client from the prior betas that we had beforehand, those will actually just start auto-updating, and if you got rid of them, or if you want to jump in for Server Slam for the first time ever, you will have the ability to do so by downloading at noon.
But it is a fresh start. So even
It
if you
is.
have the beta client from last time and it updates, all new characters, you're starting from level 1, and there's like a bunch of different changes, right, Joe, in terms of how we think about Server Slam versus the previous betas?
Yeah, that's right. So we made a number of changes, and we talked about a few of these in our last live stream. But we've gone ahead and made some adjustments to the way the dungeon objectives are laid out. We've changed some of the dungeon flows as you're going through the maps. We have a lot more smiley faces and fewer frowny faces as you progress on through. We've done some balance updates for classes to kind of like adjust based on like data we saw, really looking at like how players were actually playing and like kind of reviewing how things were actually working in the live game, which is really exciting. We made some adjustments to like the drop rates. Now they're more reflective of the actual base game experience when we're launching in the near future. So during the last beta, we had like an accelerated drop rate for legendary items. Now you're going to get a sense of like what's going to really feel like in those early levels of Diablo 4. To try to like fight and try to find those legendary items.
Right. So actually, Server Slam will actually prove to be a little bit more challenging because the level cap is lower. It's not 25, it's 20. So you max out at 20, so you have essentially 5 less skill points to play with. And legendaries aren't going to be raining from the sky the way they were during the beta. So, we have this notion of getting to level 20 to get your wolf pack, and also to try to take on a Shava. But like a Shava is going to be more challenging than last time because of that 5 less skill points and not as many legendaries. So that's going to be really interesting to see if people can get to level 20 and beat a Shava. But it's a more accurate representation. It's sort of like people talk about how does it actually feel to go from 1 to 20, and this is actually, essentially the path we're pretty close to what we're shipping with at launch. Even the new font. We didn't talk about the new font.
That's true. Yeah, we definitely have also updated the font. So there's a lot. What we're really trying to say is there's a lot to look forward to as far as Server Slam, and importantly, please come check it out. It really is going to help us for launch. Make sure that we get as many players as we can, stressing out the servers and making sure that we have accurately estimated everything. So we're in a really great spot.
So Kagan, what class are you playing in Slam?
I only ever play Rogue. I hate to be that
person. You only ever play Rogue?
I only play Rogue. I really like high mobility classes. So like, I want to zip around.
Rogue is that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got my Druid up to 25 last time, and I got a Barbarian up to 25 last time. I'm looking forward to jumping, I think, into a Necro this time. Oh, and I got my Sorceress up to 25 last time as well.
Nice.
But Necro this time. I wanted to hit all 5. I didn't have time to get all 5 this time. But this round, I want to try to get my my Necro up.
And Adam?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd probably say Necromancer this time. Yeah, I did Druid and Rogue last time, and I haven't played Necromancer since way back when, so I'm just like, okay. Yes, we have played the game before, other people.
You have access to Diablo 4 where other people
Amazing,
don't?
yeah. But yeah, probably Necromancer this time.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Druid just because like I'm gonna necro so hard in the main game that I don't want to like I want to save that. So I'm gonna go Druid in the slam. I think.
Saying necro is a verb, it sounds like you're talking about like a thread form somewhere.
That's how you necro.
True. God,
It's all
so
about
true.
corpse explosion.
We hear Rod talk about Necromancer all the time here.
It's not my fault that it's the best class. I didn't design the game. You
All
did.
the time.
It's my fault that Necro is the best class.
Listen, folks, we're playing Barbarian Launch. Okay? That's the truth. Okay. No, like all the classes are super fun. They all have like interesting and different overpowered mechanics. That's just the way that we want to kind of go about class generation for Diablo 4.
Yeah. So, and just a reminder, like I said beforehand, because we have Server Slam this weekend, and then we're a little over 3 weeks from early access. The deluxe and ultimate versions are available for pre-order for those to get early access for the 4 days or 4 to maybe 5 days, a little bit early, like. Or, depending on where you live. Well, I mean,
It's
like,
still 4 days.
well,
I mean, it's
where
like,
you live. I mean, it's like ish.
If you get in a plane, though,
And
You're gonna
and
fly
exactly
you might
quickly.
get an extra couple.
Thank you. So anyways, we do have a QR code up here, so you guys can actually go.
I want that hoodie.
to the Battle.net shop, and it'll actually show you all the different versions.
And one of the questions we get around that is like, because we have cross-play and cross-progression, you know, obviously you can play on console, you can play on PC, you can play with others on console or PC, and your progress carries over no matter where you are. But that's also true for things like the rewards and the incentives. So as an example, if you were to play Server Slam on Xbox, as an example, or PlayStation, and you earn the rewards for the Beta Wolf Pack or the Cry of Ashava, like that stuff will carry over when you switch platforms. Same thing for the stuff when you buy the Ultimate Edition, that stuff will carry over to other platforms. And so, you know, when people are like, oh, I want to buy two versions, I'm going to buy the console version and a PC version, you can buy the Ultimate in one and the Basic in another and share those rewards.
Yeah, the only caveat though is that early access from the Ultimate version or the Deluxe version stays on the platform that you actually purchase. Yeah. So if you are wanting to play early access on PC, make sure to get the PC version, and you can buy like a PlayStation version or an Xbox version, and actually carry over all those other incentives over between different platforms.
That was an excellent job at fine print. You did the fine print beautifully there with a little
Thank
asterisk
you.
caveat on that.
Thank you.
The lawyers have asked me to say that you only get early access
I've
on the
answered
platform.
that question many times for the last couple months. So, but we do have a lot to talk about today.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things that we've been hearing from the community is the discussion around seasons and how they will work in Diablo 4.
Wait, that's what we're here to talk about?
Exactly.
It's a long
I'm hoping you remember why we're here.
I don't read any of this. I don't read that, man.
But as we all know, like seasons are a big part of Diablo itself. You know, we have seasons in Diablo 2, seasons in Diablo 3.
Season 4 on May 4th for Diablo 2 Resurrected. And we're still season 28 on Diablo 3.
Yes.
So rocking that out. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, so but seasons with Diablo 4 has been a big question because a lot of people want to know how it kind of works and like the structure of it and so forth. And thankfully, we have Joe and Kagan here to help us and talk about that. Oh, I guess Rod too.
No, I'm just
But-
Yeah, specifically, I'm talking about the red one.
That's my job.
But
I'm talking about the
Joe,
red one.
How do seasons in Diablo 4?
And I can't find it. I can't find the
Adam
red one.
Fletcher,
I actually would
thank
buy
you
that
so
right
much
now.
for asking me. I'd love to talk about this for a bit. So let's talk about seasons. All right, so we're gonna have a helpful infographic to show you in just a second, but let me talk to you about seasons as a general rule. You know, as we're thinking about Diablo 4 and the launch product of the game, we are trying to make sure that we've got a really great experience that players are going to be able to enjoy for their first, character playthrough of the campaign and have an excellent experience. Seasonal content, our post-launch content, is going to be arriving shortly after the launch of the base game.
Mid to late July.
Mid to late July, actually. It's good. Yeah. We haven't talked about that yet, but absolutely, it is mid to late July. You've heard it from Rod Ferguson. So that's the goal. We want to make sure that you've got enough time to play through your first character and really enjoy the campaign at your own pace and kind of explore potentially different classes as you go. So when we're thinking about seasons in Diablo 4, we start off with thinking about a theme, the seasonal content of that season. So we're going to have 4 seasons a year, 1 per quarter, and each of these are going to have a really strong theme associated with them. And this theme is going to like basically inform the things we want to do with all the content within the season, with things that might be appearing in the battle pass, things in the seasonal quest line, things associated with like the new gameplay mechanics we'll be adding as part of that season. We really want to make sure these things feel like they're connected in one coherent experience for players when they log in and they play during the season.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as part of that season, then to carry that theme forward, you're going to want to obviously have some sort of context or narrative around the season. Yes. Yes,
that's absolutely right. So that leads us to the seasonal quest line. So one of the questions I see get asked either like online or occasionally we'll see in like like various chat channels is just that like how are we thinking about story as a with regards to like the live service, and how are we extending the story of Diablo 4? And there's kind of like two approaches to the way that we're looking at things. With regards to seasons, we're not going to be using this as an opportunity to expand upon the campaign story of Diablo 4.
Right.
You know, the campaign story of Diablo 4, featuring like Arius and Lilith and the events of the Wanderer, those events are really going to be told over the course of our expansions, our post-launch expansions, that we're not talking specifically about today. You know, but that's really where the high-level narrative of Diablo 4 will continue to unfold. But that leaves our hand open to do really interesting things in seasons. So if a season is supposed to have like a theme with a gameplay mechanic and other things associated with it, it allows us to have like one really engaging seasonal quest line that manages to deliver on like a self-contained story that's going to guide the player through like, again, the mechanics and the themes of that season. So like these are still like really big events that are happening in the world of Sanctuary, where the player is going to be able to like step in the role of the Wanderer and like kind of go and help people and like and explore interesting mechanics.
Right. So you're not bound. The ideas around the season are not bound by the campaign. You're basically creating quest lines in the open world that can be completely different and completely, it's not constrained to. It has to be about the Arius and Lilith story. It can be about anything that's sort of interesting you want to play into in the open world, right?
Absolutely. So if, for example, we had a season theme for the first season, which, again, we will not be discussing today, folks. We're going to save Season 1 to talk about it a little bit later on.
Yeah, we plan on talking about Season 1 after launch.
That's right. But let's say, for sake of argument, that the first season was, the theme was about zombies.
Which it is not.
No, this is a false premise, okay? But let's just say, for sake of argument, that it was about zombies as the theme. That means that like things that would be showing up in the battle pass might be related to some like zombie stuff. The season quest line might be about like the rising of zombies throughout Sanctuary. Like that, we try to make sure these things all feel connected. So the season quest line, it's going to introduce new characters, like great voice acting, memorable quests and experiences will guide the player through the season. And that's the way that we're looking at things.
And so then that also then, I feel like I'm doing your job actually. Am I doing your job? I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
Oh, thanks, Adam.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you for the daily affirmation. I'll give you $20 later. Sorry, I'm just curious. I think like when you think about the theme, that obviously goes beyond story construct, but also goes into the mechanics. Like how do you think about gameplay? Yes.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the next major thing that I want to discuss, which is fresh gameplay. This is when this is the great. Yes. So fresh gameplay. So with every new season, obviously we'll be introducing new story content, which I already described. And then we want to introduce new mechanics and gameplay for players to engage with over the course of that season. So this comes down to things like just new power for players to earn or ways to experience the growth of their character. Things are going to modify and change the way they're going to want to approach building their character every season. This goes beyond meta changes or like balance and tuning and things like that. It really comes down to like just wholesale like new features and things that are going to be available for the duration of that season for players to experience. And then at the termination of the season, when the season is over, these sorts of features are going to be retired. To be considered for, again, in the future if we like them or not. But for now, we want to make sure that we're kind of maintaining a certain level of parity across the game, and we're not kind of creating layers of like cruft and distraction from the core Diablo experience, which we already feel is tuned very well. So yeah, we're really excited to talk about those a little bit more in the future, but you can expect like exciting new features and gameplay to engage with between new monsters and mechanics, things for players to craft or do, change their gear, or just change their skills. So we're really excited about that stuff in the future.
And then when you think about seasonal stuff, we talked about when you look at, say, Diablo 3 has the chapters that you go through to get Hager's gift and those sorts of things. So that there's that sense of progression through a season. And we've obviously talked about the Battle Pass and how the Battle Pass will be in our previous blog around this stuff as well. But it's good to clarify again. So when you think about not just like, okay, I have a seasonal narrative, I have a seasonal mechanic or gameplay hook now, but how do I think about progression within a season?
Sure. So, great question. So, when we're thinking about seasons, we want to make sure we are creating new opportunities for long-term progression. The first version of that we want to talk about really is the season journey, which does make a return from Diablo 3. So inside the season journey, the player is going to have an opportunity to complete a number of different objectives that are tied to mechanics, story goals, or other things that are happening during the course of the season. I think we might actually have an image for the season journey we can maybe pull up as well that might help me explain some parts of this.
I think we hid the zombie stuff though, so there's no zombie.
There's no zombie stuff in
zombie
this.
stuff.
Yes.
No zombies.
Yes. Please note the top secret labels for this because we realize there's no image we can show that doesn't start to give away some information for doing season 1. Too bad. You're gonna be able to talk more. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But here in the season journey, players are gonna be able to complete a number of these objectives, as I already called out. Objectives are separated into chapters. One of the big changes that we made as part of the season journey is we've ensured that now players don't need to actually complete every one of the objectives within a chapter in order to advance. They could choose to go back and still complete.
So if I don't, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty different than if you're a player of Diablo 3 and you're going through season journey. If you remember, like going through each chapter required you to finish every single little bit of it before you could progress to another chapter. So this one obviously a little different in how you kind of approach it because you don't have to do every single thing. You can actually complete it beforehand by doing most of the objectives and kind of choosing specifically.
Yeah, like if I'm not a PvP player, I don't have to do the PvP objective to progress through the journey, right?
That's correct. If we have an objective that would send you to like the Fields of Hatred, you wouldn't have to go there to complete that one. You could do the other objectives associated with the season instead.
Got it.
So when you're going through and you're kind of completing the season journey, you're going to earn rewards for completing the objectives, and you'll also earn some big rewards at the end of each chapter, where you're going to get like packs of like crafting materials and items, and you can also unlock actual legendary aspects that will go into your Codex of Power.
Oh, nice. So not just earn through dungeons, you can earn through the journey.
A different set of aspects, in fact, will be available through the Codex of Power in this way. And some of the new legendary powers we add in every season will also be made available through this method. So you'll still be able to find them as item drops, of course, but you can be able to experiment and play with them pretty early on through these drops. And then the last thing I think is worth talking about here is every time you complete one of these objectives, you're going to also be earning favor, which is a kind of an experience system that's used by the Battle Pass. But with that, so you get like little drops from completing the objectives and big drops of that also from completing the chapters. But when it comes to long-term progression in the Battle Pass, like Kaken, would you mind maybe walking us through some of how the Battle Pass works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's been a lot of questions about the Battle Pass, so let's talk through it today. So this is the Seasons tab, and this is going to be, the hub for all things seasons. Under that top secret label, you can see the season journey, and then at the bottom here, you can see the actual Battle Pass. And what you're seeing is a mix of the free tiers and the premium tiers of the Battle Pass. The way that you progress the Battle Pass is, like Joe mentioned, by earning favor. And there's two sources of it. You get it from the season journey, like Joe mentioned, but you also get it from leveling up and playing any seasonal character. So there's 3 levels of the Battle Pass. There's the free track, which, like the name implies, you don't have to pay for. Everybody has access to that. The premium track, which is roughly $10 US, depending on where you are in the world. And then there's the accelerated track, which is just like the premium track, but it has includes 20 tier skips. It's folks who might have gotten a late start and a special cosmetic, and that one is roughly $25 USD, depending on where you are in the world. But let's talk a little bit more about the free and premium tracks. So the free track has 27 total tiers, and what you're primarily getting from the free track are what's called smoldering ashes. And the smoldering ashes are going to be like the currency that you use to unlock seasonal blessings. So the seasonal blessings are different buffs you can get that will help accelerate your progress through the season. So you can see, for example, here, plus 3% to XP earned. That's going to help players, level up again, level up multiple characters, and all of these are really just meant to help players through that seasonal progression, through that seasonal journey. It's important to note, though, that there is a secondary level requirement on every free tier of the Battle Pass that contains smoldering ashes. So for example, if you were level 1 and you bought a bunch of tier skips and hadn't played yet, you wouldn't be able to access the smoldering ashes and spend them until you had actually leveled up a character and met those level requirements. And this is to prevent folks from buying a ton of tier skips and keep everybody on a level playing ground. So that is.
I had a question about that actually. So There are no Smoldering Ashes available in the premium track of the Battle Pass, right?
That is absolutely correct. It is all the things that affect gameplay are only in the free track.
Okay.
And so that basically, we've said like it's always cosmetic based. So there's no, you can't pay for power in Diablo 4 because, as you saw, the stuff, the season blessings are on the free track, and they have a level requirement, so you actually have to play to get to a certain point. So it keeps everybody in a level playing field. Right.
You may not pay for power in Diablo 4. So yeah, let's talk about next the premium track. So like I mentioned, $10 USD, depending on where you are in the world, and this contains 63 total reward tiers. So you add that to the 27 from the free track, you get the 90 total tiers, in the Battle Pass. Yes. There is a ton of value in that premium track. So you get 2 full armor sets for every class. And they're really themed to the season. They're meant to be like a celebration of that season's theme. And there's other stuff in there. There's the seasonal mount. There's the seasonal mount armor, which you can see here on this screen. And then there's just like a bunch of fun other little cosmetics like role-playing clothing. For example, we have like a big, pair of white bloomers in there. So there's lots of fun stuff to find in the Battle Pass.
That's what I wear when I role play.
I think that's actually a really fun idea, though. So like, it's not necessarily like big armor or things, but just more other stuff. So if you want to like play a particular role, like there's options for some of that stuff that you'll find.
And you can mix and match all of it. So you can create all kinds of ways to express yourself.
What's nice is that you just said there's 90 tiers, and a season is 3 months. Right, so you have quite a lot of time. You have essentially 120 days to do 90 tiers, which seems doable.
We want it to be achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great.
I want to call it one thing also. Then we were looking at that image before. There's that top secret label on the left.
Yeah.
Like that is explicitly a link that will bring you to some part of the season journey as well. The only reason it says top secret there is because it's got language in there that I do not want to make sure that anyone is able to read to give away what's happening in season 1.
Exactly.
Otherwise, people know about the zombies.
Otherwise, people know about. It's not a zombie season, Ron.
You use the example, Joe. That's on you. That's
I was just trying to pick something. Okay. I'll say something. Season of the circus next time. Whatever. So actually could be kind of cool, like a devilish circus sort of feel. All right, I'll talk to people
scary
about that.
clowns.
It's scary clowns, yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's nice to get a little more information on the Battle Pass, like out there.
Right, and so so we talked about progression.
Yeah.
We talked about both in the season journey and in the awesome Battle Pass. And so now when we think about what the seasons also provide is like obviously we're hearing about balance. We're going to be hearing about hey, how do we improve people's experience based on what we saw in the previous season? And actually, before we get into that, if I can interject, I'll steal one of your questions from Q&A. Can I do that?
Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, all right.
So one of the things that comes up, I get a lot on my Twitter feed is around, hey, how do I think about, Diablo 3 seasons, Kagan said it earlier about like your seasonal character. That notion of do I have to re-roll to get into and experience the season and experience the narrative wrapper, to experience the mechanics, to experience the progression. Basically, do I have to start a new character?
Yeah, so Diablo 4 is balanced around the idea of trying to make sure that level up experience from 1 to 100 is really engaging and fun, and very punchy when items drop for you, that your power progression feels a certain way as you play. So you do, as a result of that, we do balance around the idea of playing over the course of a quarter character, right? You can play a lot longer than that if you want, absolutely.
Right.
We want to make sure it feels really good to play inside that 9-day period. We are going to be having players like re-roll and make new characters with every new season, and be able to experience the growth of their character over the course of each of those quarters.
And I think you might have said it, but just because you talk really fast, I want to make sure it's really clear.
How dare you? No one has ever said that about me.
I'm a fast talker and you beat me. So the notion around, though, that you basically have to complete the campaign at least once before you can truly experience the season, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's a couple things that so once you unlock a couple things, you'll have them for your account from that point forward. I can just kind of maybe just throw all
right
right
ahead.
now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we get so many questions about it. I think it'd be good if we clear it.
Yeah, sure. So first thing is, when you complete the campaign on any character, whether you're playing in the hardcore mode of the game or the normal mode of the game, no matter what difficulty of the game that you're playing and you beat the campaign on, from that point forward, every character that you make, you're going to have the option to skip the campaign as part of playing that character. So if you play the campaign as part of this pre-season period before Season 1 begins, and you finish it, when you start playing in Season 1, you can choose to skip the campaign as part of your playthrough, which means you get to experience the new seasonal content right away. Otherwise, you can still choose to play through the campaign in seasons, but you'll need to finish the campaign content before the seasonal content is going to begin for you. So just things to think about as you play. So that's the first thing you get as kind of an account level unlock for your character as you play.
Right.
The second is when you're playing through the campaign, you're going to reach a point in the story where you're going to unlock your first horsey. And when you get your first horsey,
horsies.
Horses. And once you unlock your first horsey, you're then going to have the ability to basically mount up with every one of your characters from that point forward, including characters you might have already rolled at that point. Having unlocked it once, you've got that as an account level achievement effectively for yourself. You'll be able to start like
Future seasons even. I can
Yeah,
just
future
like start a
seasons.
new character, gotta
That's
get my
right.
horsey.
Level 1, after skipping the campaign or even playing through the campaign in the following season, you're gonna be able to like just go ahead and mount up right away.
My horsey's in my cave with me?
Yeah, your horsey, yes, the horsey that died is then going to immediately revive and then you'll play with the horsey right away.
Zombies.
Oh my God!
Spoiler!
We have showed the video. People know. Okay.
And zombies,
Honestly though, if I spoiled that moment, then I do deeply apologize, and we should put spoiler warnings on
I
these
think they're
things.
taking about like zombie horses now is theme specific. I think that leans right into that seasonal theme.
Yeah.
Pivoting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
3 weeks before lunch.
Yeah, sure. Sound off in the comments if you want zombie season. Let's hear it. Okay, so that's the second thing. You'll have access to your mount that you unlock. And then the last thing is that there's as you're playing through the as you probably played as part of like the open betas that we've done, and we'll see again in SummerSlam, you'll be finding these altars of Lilith throughout the world.
Server slam.
What did I say?
Server slam. Server slam.
Completely a slip, everybody. It has nothing to do with SummerSlam. So yeah, during the Server Slam, wow, I really did, didn't I? So during the Server Slam, you're going to be finding altars of Lilith throughout the world. And when you collect these, you get two things. One, you're beginning Renown, which is going to be basically used to get a number of different rewards for your characters on that realm from that zone. So new skill points, new healing potion charges, things like that you've got a chance to see before.
Right.
But you also get a permanent stat boost,
Right.
For all characters on your account.
One of the main reasons to go after the altars.
Yeah, right. But we don't want you to need to necessarily go after them every single quarter to go and collect all of these. We think it's really fun, particularly the first time, to go and find all of these things.
Right.
So once you get that stat boost the first time, that stat boost is going to apply to all other characters in your account from that point forward.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't have to get those over and over again. And when it comes to Renown, you don't need to go get every Altar of Lilith to finish off the Renown track in each one of these zones.
Sure, it's like the season journey. You don't have to do everything in the Renown track to get all the Renown. You can do it. Maybe I want to do, maybe Strongholds are my favorite feature, so I can lean into Strongholds or whatever. So, but what you're saying is, hey, I played the campaign, I found all these Altars of Lilith the first time, and now when we go into a season, they are hidden again, but I still keep all the buffs I got the first time, all the things that are permanent, like the +2 intelligence, +2, God knows I need +2 intelligence, and +2 strength and what have you. But the idea of going and finding an altar to add more renown to the pool to progress, I can still do that. Like
Absolutely.
I can still go find them if I want to.
Yeah, and you get a little bit of experience for doing it as well. So yeah, they're still kind of fun to stumble across as part of your regular play experience within a season. You just don't have to get them all again if you don't want to. There's other things you can do instead.
Okay, so I think we covered what sticks around.
That's right.
So that's great.
But like the entries in your Codex of Power are going to reset, so you're going to have to go find those aspects again.
Go
like
to the dungeons.
Yeah,
and-
go do the dungeons again. So
Yep.
yeah, those are the things you're going to reset.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so that definitely great long-term. That was really on topic, actually, in terms of long-term progression, because it actually is long-term progression.
Yeah, by the letter of the law, it's a long-term progression. So yeah, Rod's 100% correct. Thank you.
But when you think about what else the seasons provide an opportunity for, like you talked about, like all these things. Okay, we have a new quest line, we have new mechanics, we have all this progression, but it's also an opportunity to kind of react to player feedback and also what you're seeing in terms of the data coming in terms of balance or things that maybe we need to smooth out and sand down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that operating a live service game with Diablo IV after the game launches and seasons come out, that is going to be basically it's the best versions of this are always a conversation with the player base as we play and a conversation with the community as we play. So as we're going to be receiving feedback and we're seeing how certain features and content is performing, that gives us opportunities to sort of like respond to that feedback and react to it with updates to the game. Now, things take lead time, so if we see immediately after launch that there's something that we could get maybe make an improvement on, it's tough to like immediately and very quickly turn around like big changes. But we want to make sure that we are carefully iterating to make Diablo IV the best version of itself that it can be as we go.
Yeah, and this is like it brings up to the point like where we just had betas and we literally took the feedback that we got from the community, which we, we're obviously super appreciative of because it just makes a better game in the end of the day, and people will actually be able to experience those changes from the beta in the Server Slam weekend, this coming weekend, because of that feedback. So players providing feedback on our forums, on Reddit, social media, we're always reading through all of that stuff. To have that, so yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, in terms of the way that, like, in order to do, to have a game that has seasons all the time, and sort of this, like having quarterly seasons, you're not like once season 1 launches, we start season 2. Like season 2 has to be pretty much like very much in flight, and that's what I think Joe was talking about around the idea that. We're going to be as responsive as we can. So if there's a bug, or especially if it's something we can fix on the server, like we'll do things quickly. Yeah. But if there's a big change, it may take a season to get there, just because season 2 is already mostly in the can by the time season 1 is.
That's how game development works, everyone.
What? Yeah. You're developing things ahead of time? Yep. Unbelievable. That's why we know we have zombies. And so, but just something in terms of patience and understanding is like the way that you have to build seasons is you're basically having 2 seasonal teams that are leapfrogging each other with, like, we kind of call it the odd team and the even team, to be able to keep up that pace. And so that's why I was like, oh, I saw this thing in season 1, it's definitely addressed in season 2. It may not, if it's big enough. It may be that season 1 thing we saw is in season 3 because it was big enough to require that time.
Yep.
So
that's absolutely right.
Just understand how that's all working.
Yeah, so like reacting to bug fixes and other things, that's going to be another really big part of the live service team's job, right? So like everything we're doing within seasons, we want to make sure that we're constantly responding to that kind of feedback from players and kind of making the game better as time goes on.
Well, the other part of the season is like, we've got a lot of positive response on our character creation. And it would be great to get Kagan back in to talk about sort of how we think about customization during the season, because we know maybe talk a little bit about what you can actually find in the world, but also, what we're excited about with the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game is full of hundreds of incredible transmogs, that you'll unlock just by salvaging gear. And the transmogs in the game really give you this this sense of like visceral power progression for your character.
Right.
And so they're meant to really like bring that to life, grounded in Diablo's story and its world and its lands. And what the shop offers is a lot of diversity. So like the way that we wanted diversity of like the fantasies
Sure.
that you can experience and that you can express. So the way that we wanted to support the development of the seasons was to, add things to the game that players would appreciate, to create art and beautiful things that are grounded in Diablo 4's world and its art style, but provide this like array of class fantasies. And so, for example, if you want to be like a thunder goddess as a sorceress, or you want to be a big barbarian that like rips the tongues out of your enemies and puts them on your armor.
Very specific.
Right?
That was very specific.
I like it, though. That's good.
Slightly unsettling, but very specific.
Yeah.
You can, the shop is going to help provide a lot of this like diversity in the types of fantasies, and then you can take all those pieces and mix and match them with the cool stuff that you find in the game to express yourself all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I think one fun thing about this too, like players got a chance.
The
like
tongue ripping, is that the fun thing?
Absolutely,
yeah, tongue
absolutely.
ripping.
But no, I was actually going to talk about our previous betas. We got a chance to see a lot of players making really cool-looking, customized characters in the game, and all of the gear they're collecting, it's still very low-level gear. Like there's much more stuff to go find.
Wait, there's more
wait
beyond
till you
level
get
20?
to the end game.
There's a lot more looks and appearances to find as you're progressing through more of the game.
One of the things I love about the equipment that's in the game is that we actually do regional themed armor and such.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this is not.
Here's our side-by-sides.
This is not my point, but it's fine. It's good to speak to your point. Maybe all I was going to say quickly before, so Kagan can come back and talk about this. But I just think it's really cool that we have like regional looks, like the notion of like, there's a there's like a Hauser look, and there is a Fractured Peaks look, and that kind of thing. That is kind of interesting that when you go into a particular zone in the world and you start collecting loot, you're actually picking up pieces that are of that zone, so you can actually dress more like a person from that zone if you wanted to.
That's right, particularly of the legendary gear when you're leveling up 100%. Yeah, so there's a lot more to discover even after that as you get into world tiers and more.
Did you want to, Kagan, you want to talk us through some of the examples?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the shop armors.
This is tongue ripping, right?
Yeah,
No,
you can see blood right out of the mouth, right
out
there.
of the mouth.
I don't
It's gotta
know if the names are final, but this guy, I think his name is Death Raven, the shop guy. But yeah, so you can see sort of like a side by side of in-game armor for the barb versus like a shop armor.
I think I just want to one thing. I think it's so funny that we accidentally got these really awesome poses for the in-game armors, and all the shop armors are just a person standing.
Deadpan.
Like this was
checking his look in the mirror.
This
Like,
wasn't
you're not gonna
completely
get-
intentional, but it was a funny.
It was
funny
totally
thing
an
that happened.
accident. It's because two different teams made the
it's-
pictures. But
It's
yeah.
just funny. It's awesome.
But yeah, let's look through some of the other side by sides. We haven't seen
She's very excited to have found
She's
the
just like,
armor.
oh, I'm here. And then we have one of my favorites from the shop there. Oh yes, and this is Rogue side by side, so you can see. I think the shop Rogue here is called Deathwalker. So keep an eye out for tons of really cool, diverse
I love the
fantasies in the
tassets.
shop.
I love the tassets on the in-game armor, and I love the pauldrons on the shop armor.
Just use the word
so cool.
tacet. I didn't.
There's
know that.
honestly like.
I've been in fancy games
The
for a long time.
MTX is focused on collection, right? Like it's not like we're trying to like put only the cool stuff in one channel or the other. There's awesome stuff to collect from the game and the shop.
And like you said earlier, like you can mix and match, create your own fantasy, which is really cool.
See, now we're talking my language with the Necro. But like, for example, if I really like the in-game look, but I want that the shop helmet, like when I buy that armor set, I can take that helmet and apply it to my in-game if I wanted to, yes?
That's right, and you can dye everything.
Oh, in the
So,
wardrobe,
like,
I can actually recolor everything too.
yeah, you can dye everything from the shop and in the game. I think there are 8 colors in the dye palette, so yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check that out during Server Slam, you should make sure that you get a chance to play with the wardrobe and try dyeing some gear.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's customization. And then one more thing is related to customization, not tied to appearances and looks, which I think we already have good coverage on. But you will also be adding new like legendary powers, like I called out before, and also new unique items with every new season. Make sure there's like new builds and ways to kind of like create customized characters.
And those will stay. Those aren't seasonal. Those
Those will be going to the Eternal Realm as well as the Seasonal Realm, and they're going to be evergreen. They're going to be there after the season is over, which continue to add to the pool.
And so speaking of evergreen, like that's true. Like there's potential to add side quests and things like that. Like there's ways to continue to enrich the open world through seasons that will actually stay as people sort of move from the season into the Eternal Realm or to the next season. Yes.
Yep, 100%. We are going to be looking for those opportunities to kind of continue to add to the world of Diablo 4 and to continue to build out Sanctuary. These are things that we're really excited about as a team.
And we never actually. I think maybe that might have been the first time someone's mentioned the Eternal Realm, but like that is the intention, much like Diablo 3, that a seasonal character will be in the season playing everything that we've been talking about so far, and then when that season ends, that character will then move to the Eternal Realm where it will live on, and you can choose to play there, or you can choose for the next season roll a new seasonal character and go again. Yeah,
That's absolutely right. So the characters will get merged down in the Eternal Realm at the end of the season, giving you an opportunity to take some of the stuff that they collected over that period of time and then build a new character as part of the next season.
Yeah, there's no reason to feel like to shy away from starting a new character on the season because you will retain all of that progress.
Absolutely.
But,
Okay, cool. And so what about when we think about when I play the main game outside of a season, we know we have capstone dungeons to be able to change my difficulty tier. We know that at the end there's some mysterious level 100 boss that I want to try to get max out and prove I can beat this level 100 boss at level cap. Like, are there other things within seasons that are kind of like that, or how do I think about that sort of notion about like this sort of looking to the horizon of what I want to do?
Well, once again, Rod Ferguson, I couldn't ask for a better tee up in this case. Let's discuss the idea of aspirational challenges. So with every season, we want to continue to build upon the end game and the goals that players are going to have for themselves with every season of Diablo 4. And we've got some particularly big ideas as we go through the first couple of seasons when the game launches. So with every season, but we do want to continue to add these really, really pinnacle challenges for players to go and engage with.
Pickle challenges?
Pinnacle challenges.
Pinnacle.
I think you said, I honestly heard
challenges?
We all heard pickle
zombies
challenges.
and pickles is,
Yeah.
All right,
There we
okay, well,
go.
fair enough. All right, so
throw in
maybe
some mayo in there.
at
It's a
SummerSlam.
sandwich.
With
this
slaw.
is the level of respect that Joseph Pipewater, Associate Games Director, gets on Diablo 4.
I'm looking forward to the pickle challenges, all I'm saying.
Yeah, same. Okay, so basically, we want to make sure that we've got these new big challenges for players to go and engage with every time we release a season. And as we go, we'll continue to add more depth to this. One thing we want to be very careful about is we're not looking to just sort of like arbitrarily continue to make the game longer and longer and longer and longer to play.
Right.
That's not the goal. Again, we are balanced around hitting level 100, earning your Paragon points, getting all of your legendary unique items. That's the real focus of power progression for the player. We want to provide new and distinct opportunities for players to kind of express that power and new goals in the chase over the course of the season, without necessarily making like just more stuff that you have to go through in order to play the game. So yeah, things we're very excited about. New bosses, new major encounters, new dungeons, new things. And then as we see how players are reacting to the game as it is, we'll continue to build in that direction as well.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting when we talked about like side quests and things that I think it's also true kind of for the end game is that we may use seasons to experiment with new in-game features, and then if it's working really well, we might decide to keep it. If it's not working quite so well, we may have it leave with the season, and then maybe bring it back later. And what I like about the kind of quarterly seasonal flow we have going is that it allows us to experiment a little bit and see what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we know it's only there for 3 months. If it does work, hey, maybe we should have it stick around. So it's a great opportunity to try stuff out.
Absolutely, particularly as it relates to content too. It's like you'd be able to bring in like these really tough encounters and different bosses and things of that nature. And then these mechanical features, as we see how they perform and we see how players react to them, we may or may not decide to keep them on, to your point. And if they're particularly popular, we decide to keep them in.
Awesome.
We want to hear from players about what's working, what they're enjoying, what's, and also, what kinds of fantasies they want us to make in the shop. So let us know anything that you want, gameplay or from the shop and battle.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, this is ultimately going to be a conversation. And as we see how players are actually playing Diablo IV, that's going to help us advise us on how we want to build Diablo IV.
Corpse exploding necro look. I'm looking for a corpse exploding necro.
I think we got you covered.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have to stay tuned for future seasons.
Okay, good to know.
And I will say, like, I know we glossed over it really quickly, but we were talking about like meta changes and things like that, and like balancing and whatnot. That is included in the feedback. That is incredibly important for hearing from players related to that.
Yeah, I don't want to skip over that either. Thank you, Adam, for calling that out. So, if Diablo IV is a game about choice, we want to make sure that we don't allow balance issues persist so long that they start to kind of interrupt or disrupt that choice that we're trying to provide for players. We don't want like any one particular build to feel so powerful that there's not a reason to play other builds within a season. So we want to make adjustments to make sure that like player builds that might not be seeing as much play and get buffed and adjusted appropriately, make sure that they do see more use as time goes on. That is important to us. We will be making those changes on a regular basis.
Yeah, we don't want one way to play. We want every class and to have builds that all are equally as effective in terms of being successful. We don't want to be like only Whirlwind Barbarians can succeed, so only everybody's playing.
Yeah, that's the ideal. The reality is that every season will be like something that's a little bit more powerful than something else. Sure. We just want to make sure that the distinction, the divide there is not so great that it feels like you're making the wrong choice mathematically to ever play anything beyond whatever's considered meta for that moment.
Right. Well, right. It's not like RPG players are min-maxers at all. They never try to do the most with the least ever.
No. Joe,
like,
dead man.
I'm not signing up for that. I think in the spirit of managing expectations and ripping band-aids off, I do think there's something we haven't talked about that we should at least say, knowing that we haven't talked about, which is leaderboards. I think the notion that I think people with Diablo 3 and even like D2R as an example, the main thing about a D2R season is a leaderboard. And so just saying that in the early seasons, at least for season 1 and 2, there will not be a leaderboard. And that is something, again, as I said, a lot of stuff's already in flight. We understand the importance of leaderboards. We understand people wanting to be competitive in their PvE play, competitive in their build play, be able to show their mastery of certain things. And so it's definitely on our backlog that is a thing we're working towards, to provide the player community with leaderboards as we move forward through seasons, but it's not something you're going to see in season 1 and potentially not in season 2. Again, I'm just managing expectations so you're not yelling at me on Twitter after. We hear you, we know we want it, we're working on it, it's just not going to be there at launch or season 1 and 2.
Yep. That's right. So we're going to take the time to do them right. We'll bring them on as long as soon as we can.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a lot of questions here, and we've been collecting questions through chat and so forth like that. So I did want to go into at least a little bit of Q&A from people in chat. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in chat, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. But I know we did touch on this really quickly as we're collecting these questions right now. But when will season 1 launch?
Mid-July, mid to late July.
Mid to late July.
So, I mean, the reason around the timing is twofold. One is we want to make sure that we will launch this season, we launch it into the best state the game can be in to accept that season. We don't, there's a launch of a game of this scale, there can always be some things that we have to work through and settle in. But 2 is just, again, as Joe talked about, you need to be able to get through the campaign before you start the season. So by having enough time in what we call the preseason, and so in the preseason, Kagan, No battle pass because it's a preseason, but there will be basically a sort of a reduced scope shop. Yes.
Yeah, there'll be some things you can buy. You can sort of get a sense of what we have. There's, armor sets, mounts, and mount armors, and then there's some other cool things like emotes and headstones. So, like, if you die on the field of battle, you can leave behind a monument that is special.
Nice. As we said, hardcore players, careful of PvP. When you die, you're dead.
Yeah, dead forever.
Dead forever.
Yeah.
So.
In the game.
In the No, we come to your house. We know where you live.
We don't have that kind of budget.
I thought that was
Snow Crash.
I thought that was our Butcher April Fool's thing.
It is-
We come
it
to your
is.
house and we kill you.
True hardcore mode. So that is a popular question that we've gotten where people were confused by, like, hey, if you die in hardcore, like, do you come back to life, or do you just, like, start off, like, with no gear or something
Roll
like
again,
that? It's like,
start
no,
again.
Yeah, you
start all
again.
over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
And in PvP too.
But
Yes.
and that speaks to something that as we talk about the shop and customization, is one of the things is that when you buy one of the things that's sort of different, the battle pass, as you talked about, is the armor and those sorts of things are class agnostic. That when I buy something or when I get something in the battle pass, I can apply it to whatever class I'm playing. But the shop is different because the shop you can actually target. I can go and say, oh, I want this necromancer look, and it's not, and it doesn't go across.
And it's very specific to, like, the necromancer fantasy.
Right, but it's not character based; it's account based. So if I, for whatever reason, roll 5 necromancers, I can apply that armor to all 5 of them. Right.
All future necromancers that you ever create.
any
So for
necromancer in
the
the future.
infinite rogue like me, I'm gonna get a lot of value.
Right. Okay, great.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce these names, and some of them are easy, thankfully. But I'm gonna try to include people.
I was going to say, he's like, I'm going to
Wow,
try this,
what
but Bob asks.
That's
and
a
you're like, good job, Adam. You nailed that
It's a
one.
great
Pat
disclaimer.
myself on the back there. So we have a question from Negative Capable. If we get the premium battle pass late, is the favor retroactively applied?
It is. Like, you will earn the favor, and then it will unlock the tiers that, like the premium tiers that you didn't unlock because you hadn't unlocked the premium battle pass yet.
Yeah, like, you'll still earn everything in the free track as well. Like, you're kind of making progress, like, the whole time.
The whole
It's
time.
just a question
Yeah.
of whether or not when you get the premium versions, when you get to get all the premium rewards you
Yeah,
would
then
unlock.
it'll just suddenly unlock all those, like, locked premium tiers that you already went through.
And just a reminder, premium tiers just being, obviously, the cosmetics blessings are part of the free
That's
track.
right. There are no, there's no smoldering ash in the.
Zip, 0,
Yep.
no smoldering ash, no paper power
In premium tiers, yeah.
in
There you go.
premium.
And
No paper power at all.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm just saying no
Period.
smoldering ash in premium tiers.
Yes.
Also true.
But that's also, just to clarify, like, that's also true of the season journey, is that
Mm-hmm.
if let's say, I'm starting a new, I'm not getting the game till much later. It's season 2, and I'm buying the game at season 2. When I play the campaign, in the background, it's tracking the season journey accomplishments I'm doing while I'm playing the campaign. So it's not everything in the season journey is tied to, like, sort of open world seasonal play. It's also some things can be accomplished by playing the campaign. And so when I finish and I go into the seasons, all of a sudden, ding, 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 a bunch of stuff in the season journey it will complete. Yes?
Yeah, that's the expectations. You're able to move through that season journey a little more quickly if you start in the campaign. You might not be able to, like, finish every chapter as you go, because there's going to be some things you have to kind of like participate in the season quest line or the season mechanics in order to be able to really get. But you will be making progress the entire time. But I don't think your hypothetical case is likely to happen, because obviously everybody is going to buy Diablo 4 on or before launch.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a good call.
Question from
QR code right here. QR code.
If you would like to.
I did not see that when I said that. Now I'm even happier.
question from Juck Lax. Around what level will you end up getting to the mount specifically?
The problem wasn't the name, it was the
Yeah,
question
it was
itself.
the question itself. I'm just trying to, like, correct.
I think that is around level 30-ish. Yeah, it's around level 30-ish.
It depends. Like,
Yeah, it really
depends
does.
on-
every
depends on where
one
you
of these
are.
questions
True.
is going to be depending on how you play.
Yeah.
Are you open world playing and you're driving up your level before you do the golden path on the
Yep.
campaign? Like, basically the horsey, as you and pony, we use different names for these, but the mount is unlocked as part of your campaign progression.
Right.
So you have to play the campaign at some point to unlock the mount. If you decide, I'm not touching the campaign, I'm going to get to level 100 just in the open world, you will not unlock that horse.
That's completely true.
Yeah.
Question from Day 2, are you going to move the altars each season so they're in different locations every single season?
Right now, the plan is not to move them every season. That's something we've discussed as a team. We'll see what the feedback is like, but right now we don't want you to have to rediscover the locations every time if you're looking for them, but we'll see how things adjust as we play.
Awesome.
Not hard for us to do.
Yep. And just to mess with you, we might anyway. So
Maybe now I will.
yeah, exactly.
Question from Slimy Saul.
People need a
Being
bit.
committed
We need more self-esteem in our community. I'm just telling you right now.
What about seasonal cosmetics? Are they account bound?
They are. So like, if you unlock I assume you're talking about the shop and battle pass cosmetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you unlock a armor for your barbarian, all future barbarians that you ever make, and on the Eternal Realm, on the Seasonal Realm, it's usable on all of them.
Cool. Kiddo asks,
Okay.
do ashes transfer over from previous seasons?
No. So with every new season, you'll be resetting and starting to go through your ash collection once again.
It's also like one of the things maybe we didn't call it, but like the season, because there's season blessings, there was actually one that was top secret. So there'll be blessing. Those blessings we'll be playing with those. So
Yeah.
there'll be season specific blessings, and we may mess with what blessings are working or not. Again, it's part of the quality of life. Where we go like, hey, we see this as an issue, or this is not working the way, or we see another opportunity. So this is another place we can play every season.
Question from Infernal Odin. Do you need to have the premium battle pass for the blessings?
You do not.
Yeah, you don't.
That's why the ashes are on the free track.
On the free track itself. So, and you need the ashes for the blessings themselves.
And it's, again, there's two conditions. You have to have the favor to get to those free tiers, and you need to have the level requirement so that you, again, so everybody's at the same place kind of from a play perspective. So there's no way to accelerate that and that you're somehow using tier skips to pay for power. You're not. It's because it's on the free track, and you have to have a certain level requirement to be able to unlock that, that ash to be able to use in the blessing.
Oh, this is a long name. I'm not going to try. Is every season to level 100?
Oh, I thought that was her name.
Oh, that is all.
The question is every season. I'm like, wow, that is a long name.
Every season to level 100.
I mean, the season is till to the point where the player decides they've hit all the goals they have for
Till you
themselves each
cry
season.
uncle.
But I mean, you are going to start level 1, and you are going to play level 100. You know, if you choose to, with every season. Sure. But it's up for a player to choose what goals they want to really go after.
Question from Wittels. Will shop items stay in the shop, or will there be limited cosmetics too?
Oh, that is a great question. Sorry. So when items, the shop is actually personalized. There's limited shelf space in there, so you'll see a set of items in the shop, and then they'll swap out periodically. So in preseason, once a week on Tuesdays, some new things will come into the shop, some old things will come out of the shop. But when things leave, they're not like put into a vault. They will come back into the shop fairly frequently. Yeah.
And that's the personalized. We actually have a thing like recommended for you, which is one of the things that's really interesting. Is like when something leaves the shop, it actually goes into a pool of things that can be recommended. So if someone like Kagan, who's constantly playing Rogue, or somebody like me who's constantly playing Necro, they'll actually say like, hey, you seem to be playing a lot of Rogue. Here's some Rogue things that may either be new or something you may have missed previously, or hey, there's some Necro stuff. And so it's one of the things that's really nice about the shop is it has a little bit of that, intelligence, and then that has a sort of recommendation engine where it can go and say like, hey, I noticed these you seem to be really interested in blood-looking things. Here's a new blood-looking thing, that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be a nice way to keep the shop fresh and interesting and actually tailored to the person. So just to be in the recommend for you, like Kagan's thing, her shop may look different with Rogue, as mine would be filled with Necros potentially. I mean, there'll be.
You'll get a mix,
right,
but we want to make sure that the shop is serving you things that are actually interesting to you, and that we're not like forcing you to scroll through lots and lots of pages to find the exact thing you want. So, but to answer the question, no, when things leave the shop, they are not gone for good. They will rotate back in, and the shop is trying to show you things that you want to buy. Yeah.
Right, but there are it's not just that section where things are being recommended. You also have class-specific areas. So even if I'm playing Necro all the time, but I'm really curious, I'm about to go play a rogue, I want to go look at the rogue, that stuff's all there too. It's not like I'm only limited to the stuff that it's recommending. I can go browse the shop as well on other classes and such, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Do you lose all season progress when a hardcore character dies?
So the things you complete in the season journey are all account bound, so you won't lose that progress. But the things that you collect on your character, that stuff's going to go away.
Yeah. So if you happen to find like really good gear or something, you're wearing it there, gone, just gone.
Right. But the chapters you've unlocked or the favor you've earned,
Yeah,
that's
That all stays.
absolutely true. Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep.
And then this is actually something that we should clarify here because someone Tesday was asking. I'm missing something, or Ashes. Is it still a pay-to-win mechanic since you can advance 20 levels on the pass by paying? The thing that you may have not caught was that there is a secondary requirement, which is you have to get to a specific level.
That's right.
If to unlock that specific ash and
So
use
even
that.
if you bust through those first 20 tiers by buying the accelerated pass, you won't have met the secondary level requirement on the free tiers that have smoldering ashes in them, so you won't be able to unlock them faster that way.
Yep, exactly. Funny question from Tactica. When will we get Rod's hoodie in the shop?
Rod's hoodie has been in the shop. Unfortunately, I sent people that were like, "Hey, if you want to go to the gear shop," and they only have smalls.
So technically, it's still there.
If you can buy, if you're small, which I am not. We are very aware of some certain things that we have in the shop that are very popular. One was the Lilith denim jacket with the hoodie sleeves that I think was awesome couple of years ago that we didn't. I don't know why we didn't bring back.
We
And
were literally just talking about this before the stream started too.
yeah, exactly. And so we know we hear the comments that I wear this because in any interview that's required me to sit, I need to hide all the folds and stuff. So I use this as my shelter. But people like it, so we need to bring it back in the shop and get more stock. So that's where we are.
Let's see. There is a question regarding when you skip the campaign. This is from Master Barbarian. You're probably playing Barbarian.
It's not guaranteed.
Shocker.
When you skip the campaign, what level do you actually start at?
Level 1.
Level 1.
Every character you make in Diablo 4 is going to start at level 1.
Okay, and I think I answered this wrong on Twitter, so you can correct me. When someone asked me when you skip the campaign, where do you start? I knee-jerk said you start in the cave, and that's not true, right? When you skip the campaign, you start in Kyovashad.
Yes. So for season 1 and for the preseason, when you always skip the campaign, you'll start in Kyovashad. Might not always be in Kyovashad.
Ooh. Foreshadowing. Dun, dun, dun.
I guess, yeah, sure.
You start in a grave as a zombie that you wake up and then you go into that.
It's kind of zombie theme. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Now, people are just completely going to believe that. Like,
I know,
it's a
that's
zombie
the fun
thing.
It's all
though, is when
pirates
it-
and zombies from here on out.
Just don't get like heavily attached to the zombie idea because it's not
Please
happening. So like, it's not happening.
Will there be unlockable mounts or cosmetics through defeating like gameplay challenges, or will those only be through the shop itself?
Yes, there are some mounts and other things you can collect, like trophies, and certainly like titles and things along those lines that you will get from overcoming particular challenges throughout Diablo 4. So there's plenty of stuff to actually collect as well, not just even just like finding gear on the ground and picking it up and salvaging it. There's other things you'll get as like achievement level rewards for having completed certain kinds of content.
And seasons will have new titles and new things like that.
Yeah, seasons can have like new titles and like again the aspects or things you'll be collecting as you play.
And then this is a question about the server slam stuff, which was if they had the open beta app on PlayStation, do they need to download a different one? The answer is no, you won't. Here in like the next couple minutes or so, you will be able to 2 minutes. Well, 2-ish minutes, just in case. 2-ish minutes. Please don't come after me at like 12 o'clock when it's like not available.
Oh no,
right
you should
then and
totally
there.
Pez radar on Twitter. Go after
Please
him.
don't. But PlayStation, that app will actually automatically update and apply all the
But
changes.
it's a fresh
that you'll have
start.
to-
You're starting at level 1.
Yes, all your characters from beta do not move over with this server slam. You will have to start with fresh start characters.
And to be clear, like one good thing is this is a third opportunity to get. If you didn't get your wolf puppy pack, this is another opportunity. So if you reach level 20 with any character during Server Slam, which you have 48 hours to do it, and you could probably knock it out on a Friday with a little no lifing, but level 20 to get your beta puppy pack. And then we have a new reward around defeating a Shava at level 20. So and it has to be level 20.
Yep.
And so
Look at this fancy graphic.
now the reward is
It's like a car
Being
commercial.
revealed. Wait for it.
wait
There
for
it
it.
is. Ta-da.
So
There it is.
to be super clear though, because I've had this question, it is not the horse or the horse's armor or the horsey or the pony. It is actually the claw on the back, which we call the cry of a Shava or a Shava's cry.
The cry of a Shava.
The cry of a Shavan, because
Yeah.
if you were declawed, you would cry too. But you have to beat a Shava at level 20. If you beat a Shava at level 19, no claw for you.
That's right.
You'll be the one crying, not a Shava. So that was just mean. But
what if I have friends who can like carry me through the combat and I could just go
Nope.
there at level 9?
You have to be level 20 to get the claw. Like you can beat a Shava, but plus don't be that person. Those are 11 people who need another level 20 to show up. Like do not, if you go early, you're just bringing the team down. Don't go early. Get to level 20. It's not that hard. And then represent. And then you'll get the cool new mount trophy. And it's an example of one of the other cosmetic types we have is mount trophies, but a lot of it is around achievements. Like we have stuff for PvP where you can demonstrate like I'm a badass who kills other players, and so you can have a certain mount trophy for that. So it's a cool new reward. It's just we want people to go in, and so you'll have 9 chances. So what we've done is the game Server Slam will start on Friday at 9 a.m. And then, sorry, at noon, I apologize. Friday at noon, the game Server Slam will start. And then you basically have till Saturday at 9 a.m. to get to level 20. And then at 9 a.m., we start a Shava every 3 hours. So based on that, you'll have 9 chances to kill a Shava. So those are your windows of opportunity. So highly recommend you spend Friday getting to 20 and then Saturday trying to kill the Shava. And please get to 20 before. Don't be that person. Don't drag down your team.
There's a lot of time to get to 20 and a lot more opportunities now compared to even the beta where a Shava only spawned 4 times that whole entire weekend.
Right.
Now you have a lot more opportunities to actually take down a Shava. It is more of a challenge, as we said before.
Fewer legendaries, lower
Yep.
level cap.
Yep, it absolutely can be done on both world tiers, but if you're having a difficult time with a particular attempt, don't be afraid to step down to adventurer tier.
No shame.
Make it a little bit easier for
No
yourself
shame,
potentially.
none
It's
at
up to you.
all. One last question before we will wrap up because this gives an opportunity for people
Baby
to start downloading
tier.
Server Slam, which is when you spend Smoldering Ash, can you re-roll that Smoldering Ash like onto like different blessings and so forth?
Like, can you unspend it?
Can you unspend it and put it on other blessings?
Honestly, I'll have to follow up with design.
I will follow up on that.
Oh, there we go.
And I will provide an answer
You
on that.
stumped us.
Yeah, we've been stumped. We've been stumped. So just a reminder, Server Slam downloads will be starting here momentarily.
It
So
should
you
have
can
already started 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So you should be able to grab it from the BattleNet client, from PlayStation, Xbox as well. And if you already have the beta clients, those will start to update automatically, so you'll be prepared for this weekend. Provide feedback on our forums. You can see all the amazing rewards here and so forth for Server Slam this weekend. Provide all your feedback on the forums. We'll be reading forums, Reddit, social media, and so forth.
Yeah, I think we should also.
Oh, the puppy! I've got to
This-
play this
it
time.
says
I was
it's,
working last time. I didn't get the puppy, so
You didn't hit 20 last time?
I didn't. I
know.
was working. I couldn't play.
Awesome. I mean, I think to be clear too, like I just want to again, as we talk about the realities of development, you know, I feel like the team did an amazing job responding to the feedback on the open beta and being able to make all the changes that you all made for the dungeon and the font and all the stuff all the great feedback we had. And we still want that same feedback coming off Server Slam, but please recognize the game went gold a little while ago. We are 22 days away from launch, so our ability to respond in a really big way to feedback is going to be somewhat limited as we're kind of coming in to land this airplane, if you will. So we're doing our best, and we're going to respond as best we can. But just in terms of the scope of changes, like we were able to do a lot coming off open beta, probably less off Server Slam. This is really meant to be, hey, we're getting ready to go live. We want to make sure our servers are ready for that. And so this is what this is about. We still want your feedback. I'm just saying, manage expectations. You may see the results of that feedback more towards season 1 or such. So just something to be aware of.
Yeah, so lots coming up here this weekend, and lots coming up before launch as well for Diablo 4. We're obviously really excited. This is actually, I will note, this is our last developer update live stream.
One tier.
before launch. We will continue these post-launch.
Even if it's just you by yourself, we're talking.
Yeah, I will just jump on a camera and deadpan for 1 hour.
Walking over to Starbucks on your phone.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll be talking a great deal.
Yes.
We've already spoken quite a great deal.
And there's more. There's plenty more where
I
that
haven't
came
even
from.
said a fraction of what I could say.
I mean, that's what it is to be paid by the word.
Yep, it's true.
And just another reminder that all the topics that we discussed today regarding seasons, battle pass, and shop, and so forth, those are actually going to be available on Diablo4.com. We'll have a blog up immediately after this stream, so people can actually take a look there and get more information or read more information if you happen to just jump in halfway through or something like that.
Yeah. Or we spoke too fast.
Yeah.
And you want to read it at your own pace, then that's a good place to go to do that.
Side-eyeing Joe the whole time.
I appreciate you, Joe.
I appreciate Joe.
We all appreciate Joe.
Joe's great. And at the same time, the Server Slam information, we have a blog up for that as well. And that, again, starts at noon Pacific time, May 12th.
Noon. Yes, noon.
Sorry, noon Pacific time, May 12th. So we hope to see you guys there.
In the U.S., Mother's Day weekend. Or
Mother's Day weekend.
Blessed Mother's Day weekend.
Blessed Mother's Day weekend in the U.S. and in some participating countries that have not already celebrated Mother's Day.
I know, that's yeah.
Or will celebrate Mother's Day at a different date, but yes. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in for another Diablo IV Developer Update live stream. Thank you again to this wonderful panel of guests, Rod, Kagan, Joe. We are super excited for launch of Diablo IV, Server Slam this weekend. Rod actually has a special treat for us here.
What?
So my wife got me the button for, this is a thing that came out that's a 30-second dance party. So why don't we end on a 30-second?
We will end on a 30-second dance party.
All
so
right.
Rod,
ready?
Take us away.
30-second dance party.
There you go.
Bye, everyone.
Check out Server Slam.
Server Slam. Please go to the graphic.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about this for a second, shall we? Can we deal with the elephant in the room real quick? So the elephant in the room, okay? No leaderboards, really? Let me. You know what? Let me bring this up on the screen and just write this out real quick, okay? No leaderboards at launch. I'm terrible. No leaderboard at Season 1. And I thought that was weird, okay? I thought that was weird, but then it was literally no leaderboard probably even at Season 2. So they told us that the Season 1 is going to begin sometime around July, all right? So like mid to late July, they said, right? So that's our first season. They also told us that we're going to have 4 seasons a year, which means 3-month seasons, okay? So we know for a fact that it's not coming in July. So, you know, June, July, July to August, August, September, September to October. So we're not going to get one in October in Season 2. And then Season 3, which is what, October to God bless it. I'm terrible with months. I always have to say the whole thing. I was gonna be like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So January. So we won't see leaderboards won't be added into the game probably until Season 3 in January of 2024. January of 2024 is when we're going to see our first leaderboard. Not at the launch of the game, not in July when the season starts, not in October when Season 2 starts, but probably Season 3 in January of 2024. So really kind of stupid. I don't even know what the hell they were thinking there launching the game without leaderboards. You don't think that the first thing on people's minds for the first season is to literally like go at it hardcore and see if they can freaking, make it to the top of the leaderboard? Like, even just looking at the leaderboard to see what's going on, like how far ahead you are. I mean, I don't particularly even care about being on the leaderboard, but it's a thing. It's such an easy thing. Like, it's not like we're talking about, developing a rocket that can take me to Mars. Like, this isn't some sort of hyper realistic, like, rocket science that requires, a degree, like a freaking bachelor's and a master's degree in multiple freaking categories. Like, this is literally just like a standard thing that's across pretty much all video games. Like, Diablo 2 has it, Diablo 3 has it, literally, like, most ARPGs have a leaderboard of some type. Like, it's not like they just decided they didn't want to have one. Like, that's not what happened. They just, like, didn't add it. And then people were like, hey, it'd be cool if we had a leaderboard. All the other games have leaderboards. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, we could do that, I guess. It's not something we had planned, but, we could add, like, I don't know. I think there's going to be a pretty big backlash from the leaderboard community. Like, just anybody who ever wanted to be on the leaderboard. Like, the community as a whole, I think, likes to see the leaderboard, even if they know they're never going to be number one. Even if they know they're never going to hit the top of the leaderboard, it's always fun to just take a look at the leaderboard and see where you are as far as the thing. But here's my other concern on this, is if there's no leaderboard, what's the point of the seasons? So the whole point of the seasons in Diablo 2 Resurrected is to see who can hit level 99 first. The whole point of the season in Diablo 3 is kind of the same thing, right? So, like, what's the point of the seasons, and what's the objective of the seasons? What's the thing that you're going for, or thing that you're striving for? Like, what's the end of the season then, if it's not to cap out your character and basically say, I was number one? I mean, I get it. There's still other reasons to play the seasons, like resetting all your equipment, like a fresh start with everybody. But I guess we'll see. This right here, by the way, I want to talk about this. This is just straight out of Diablo 3, and it's stupid. I played Diablo 3. I did seasons of Diablo 3. This kind of thing is like brain dead, stupid kind of content. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's terrible that it's in the game. It being here doesn't detract from anything. Like, it being in the game is not going to make the game worse. But it's really brain dead kind of content. Like, especially when you look at what some of the things are. Collect 15 Gallo Vine. You, like, walk around and literally click a button. And the Gallo Vine is all over the place. So all you have to do is just pick it up. 15 of them is nothing. You're going to pick up hundreds before the end of the season. Complete any dungeon. So any dungeon whatsoever. You're going to complete a dungeon at the beginning of the game, literally. Complete a local event. There's events all over the place. You're going to be doing hundreds of events, if not thousands of events before the end of a season. It's some of the things that are on these lists are so ridiculously brain dead stupid and easy, by the way, that literally anybody is going to complete them by accident half the time, let alone it being something that you have to go out of your way to do. And this is what it was in Diablo 3. It was like, craft an item, like recycle an item, like bend over and pick up a penny off the ground. And you're like, could we make these challenges a little more difficult? Maybe like something a little more challenging than like go to Deckard Cain and talk about a story, or like complete like this particular area and kill this particular monster that you do like 1,000 times. Like, it's not like it's a zone that you got to go out of your way for. You don't got to like go out of your way to that zone to kill that particular monster. He's not hard to find. It's something that you've done about 600 times. Like, the challenges on the list usually are so ridiculously easy and so ridiculously stupid, and especially when it's something that you don't even want to do. Like, that's where it came into play with Diablo 3. You would literally beat the entire game get your character to max level, earn 5,000 Paragon levels, and you still wouldn't complete some of the stuff because it was like so brain dead stupid. Like, it was things that you had to go out of your way to do that you would never do in the course of leveling up a character. And it's not because it was something difficult or something challenging. It's because it was just something stupid that you just wouldn't do. Like literally, like collect 15 Gallo Vine. Like, it's just really simple, really stupid stuff that you'd have to go out of your way to do that you wouldn't ever really want to do otherwise. And, like, I'm not opposed to this kind of a system. Like, I'm not opposed to it. But you can't just complete any dungeon, like complete a local event. Like, these are so ridiculously easy, and Diablo 3 was no different. Like, I'm pretty sure if I pull up like Diablo 3 season rewards, because these are taken literally from Diablo 3, and if we pull up the Diablo 3 season rewards, like, you can literally see exactly what we're talking about here. So this is no, that's the season window. Let's see if we can find the season journey. That's what we're looking at, the season journey. That's what they call it. I don't care. Bring him in here. Bring the monster dog in. Monster dog. Monster dog. Monster dog is here, everybody. All right, here's the season panel for Diablo 3. All right, very similar, obviously, as you can see, extremely similar. Look at the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There's no image.
It's literally the exact same. Okay. The panel is exactly the same. The left-hand side where the rewards are over here, exactly the same. Right here, look. Defeat monsters, 10 out of 20. Craft a magic item. Interact with the jeweler and craft an item. Complete 7 dungeons. Like, the challenges on the reward sheet are pretty easy to do. You're not going to have any trouble doing the season rewards. And I'm trying to see if I can find, like, a more advanced picture of the season journey. Of course, some of these images are absolutely terrible. I don't actually have Diablo 3 installed because it's not one of my favorite games, but the that could be a way that we could just pull it up and compare. To be honest with you, though, this is like straight up pulled straight from Diablo 3. Like, it is 100% copy paste from Diablo 3. Very little effort here whatsoever, from what I can see. I'd like to get more of a look at it. Maybe there's some harder objectives on here that you can do, but from what it looks like to me, it's going to be boring. But here's the part that bothers me about this. Okay, so this was something that they talked about. I can't remember exactly where they talked about it, but they were talking about how, like in Diablo 4, you know how you have the panel where you have all of your legendary powers, the Codex of Power. So the Codex of Power is basically where you have all of your doojanks, right? So you've got all these things that you've earned throughout the game. Well, basically what they told us is that the Codex of Power entries, like, for instance, I can just bring one up here. This is the Barbarian Codex of Power. Or no, that's the Barbarian Expertise. Hold on. There we go. As a Druid Codex of Power, right? So you got to go to a specific dungeon to unlock this particular codex, right? So this is a codex that you can unlock specifically by going to this dungeon and killing the boss, right? So you can get this and add it to your repertoire. But what they've basically said is that there are going to be specific legendary affixes, powers, like the Codex of Power, but you can only obtain them through doing the season journey. So there are going to be specific legendary affixes to obtain through doing this boring, ridiculous ritual of complete any dungeon, complete any local event, collect a Gallo Vine, complete a dungeon in Fractured Peaks, talk to Deckard Cain's dead corpse. I just you're gonna have to go through this to get access to those legendary affixes. So whether you want to go through this or not, whether you want to participate in the season journey or not, they have put something in here which is important enough that you're going to have to do it. It's not a matter of do you want to do it, it's a matter of you gotta do it. There was also the powers, so they were in here too, and I can't remember where they were talking about the powers here. That is the seasonal content. This is the battle pass, so they were talking about the battle pass and the ashes, and apparently there's a level requirement on the ashes. They were talking about that like it was some sort of magic thing that prevented people from exploiting the system. But basically the ashes are used to purchase the blessings. Where is the picture of the blessings? Here they are. So it looks like you're going to get Urn of Aggression, which boosts the EXP that you get from monster kills. Apparently there's 4 ranks to this. It's 3% per rank, so you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 12% bonus to EXP. Urn of Bargaining boosts the amount of gold earned from vendor sales. This one might be a big one because from what we've seen so far, gold is going to play a pretty massive part in the game, just in general. So we're going to see a lot of gold usage throughout the game. I can tell you already that people are going to use tons of gold respecking. There's also going to be a pretty hefty gold cost on upgrading items, you know, like pulling out legendary affixes. They basically have gold being used in just about every aspect of the game, so I can totally see this one as being important. Urn of Reclamation boosts the chance of rare materials from a salvage. I don't really see this one as being all that useful, but maybe. I don't know exactly how rare materials are, but I remember during the beta I was getting like massive amounts of materials. I had so much materials I didn't know what to do with it all. And I was actually selling most of my stuff for gold because I didn't need materials. I needed freaking gold to actually perform the actions. So it was an interesting dilemma here. Very different from the way that Diablo 3 was, by the way. In Diablo 3, you hardly ever sold anything for gold. You pretty much always just deconstructed it for materials. Whereas in Diablo 4, it seems like a lot of the times you're actually leaning more towards selling it for gold because you don't really have enough gold to actually do things with, and you have plenty of materials after a period of time, which I'm not really sure how useful that one's going to be. Urn of Prolonging boosts the duration of all elixirs. All the elixirs were 30 minutes a pop, and I don't really know if boosting the duration of the elixirs is really going to be that big of a deal. And then we also have a top secret one here, which I'm not really sure what that is. It's really kind of blurred out, but I mean, you can kind of see some writing there. I don't know if there's any way to actually, like, sneak it. Can we sneak it? I don't know if we can sneak it. I don't think so. It doesn't look like there's any kind of inverting that I could do. Can barely even make out the writing at all, so probably not. I'm assuming that each one of these costs, what, 1 ash according to the list, but it might go up in price. The battle pass is going to give you, or the free battle pass, by the way, you don't actually have to pay for this. I'm not really sure how many ashes that's going to give you. It doesn't necessarily say the number of ashes. It does say that it's locked behind level 10, and this one is locked behind level 20, so whatever the hell that is. I'm assuming these right here are coins, probably to spend in the shop. So my thinking on this one right here is that these are currency to spend in the store, which is, I don't really know exactly what to make of those. There was another picture they showed us. Can't remember where it is. Let me zoom forward a little bit. Yeah, this is the battle pass right here. Bunch of they said this is, I think this is going to be the one that we see first. So it looks like they've got kind of like a dark, kind of like almost like a dark knight kind of a theme going on there with the horses, the you know, the characters, like the whole 9 yards. I'm not really sure about these helmets. Like, I don't think I'm a big fan of those helmets. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Not the biggest of fans. Not the biggest of fans. I could have sworn there was at least one more screeny here. Let's just zoom forward a little bit so I can search. I mean, they talked about a lot of stuff. They're really trying to hammer home the fact that there's no pay-to-win aspect of the game. And I can really see why, because despite the fact that they have spent about 10,000 hours literally of everything else that they're doing to try and explain that you can't purchase any kind of advantage, like, everybody's still all over it. And it's their fault, really, because Diablo Immortal is really what did it. Because Diablo Immortal is literally the epitome of pay-to-win. And it was a really bad idea for them to release Diablo Immortal before Diablo 4. In fact, they probably should have done it the other way, release Diablo 4 and then release Diablo Immortal. Or they could have just been normal, decent human beings and not exploited every single aspect of humanity. They went through the process of showing us in-game armor versus shop armor. And, I mean, you definitely can get some really cool in-game armors. Like, there's no reason 100% to actually purchase the shop armor, because you can make some really cool outfits. And they've got quite a few different outfits here. That's the barbarian one. That's the sorceress one. I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with these masks that have like stupid looking veils and things on them. Like, maybe that's like a thing. I guess maybe some cultures like that or whatever. But like, when I was going through the helmets in Diablo 4, like for my sorceress, like almost all of them had like some sort of stupid like face covering looking thing. And I didn't like any of them. Like, I think I ended up choosing like one of the very few helmets that didn't have a face covering. And there was a lot of them. Like, let me just say, like, it was like 90% face covering mask. Like, apparently they don't want you to see the sorceress's face. Apparently the sorceress is ugly, and they want to cover it up, and I don't really know why. But that's like totally a thing. Apparently, like, every single helmet and like mask of every single type has some sort of face covering. Y'all think I'm joking. I remember I sat there in the shop, like, going through every single helmet and mask, and I was trying to find any of them that didn't have a face covering, and it was next to impossible. Let's see, what else do we got? We got that's the sorceress. Okay, so that's the rogue? Yeah, that's the rogue. Getting a Lord of the Rings vibe over here from the frickin' like the Nazgul for the shop. Look like the character looks like a frickin' Nazgul over here. And over here, this one also gives me a frickin' Lord of the Rings vibe. I swear, a lot of these are very Lord of the Rings-ish. This character looks very similar to like one of the Angmar soldiers in Lord of the Rings Online. I could probably pull up an image of an Angmar soldier from Lotro and like put that up on the screen, and you'd see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it's an older game, so forgive the limited graphics, but and it doesn't have the face covering, but I swear it looks like one of the Angmar soldiers from freaking Lord of the Rings Online. I can't not see it. Like, I can't not see it. It's just, I don't know. But I mean, you can definitely dye that different colors, so you can turn it blue or gray or whatever. You can pretty much dye like whatever you want. But both of these give me Lotro vibes like crazy. Like, this looks like Nazgul armor, and this one looks like a dang Angmar soldier. Then we got the Necromancer. Some of the Necromancer armor is really cool, don't get me wrong. And some of it is just really strange, like really weird stuff. Like, it doesn't really feel like Necromancer to me so much as it just kind of feels like some, I don't really know how to put it. Like, somebody was just having too much fun with skulls and skeletons. Like I don't really particularly like this look. I don't particularly like this look at all. The masks. A lot of the necromancer masks are just really weird looking. I don't really know what to think about them other than just like they're really freaking weird looking. Maybe some people like that kind of a mask, but like to me it just looks strange, and I don't want those on my head ever. Like, I might wear this armor, don't get me wrong. Like, this armor looks cool, but the masks, just I don't like those masks at all. The shop one does look pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, but again, has some very Lord of the Rings kind of look to it. Like, you guys think I'm joking? Look at those gloves, right? Alright. Alright, you're ready? You're ready? Let's see here. Like, here's Sauron's glove. Here's Sauron's gloves, okay, from Lord of the Rings. All right, this is literally Sauron's gloves. Tell me that does not look exactly like the gloves he's wearing. Tell me that does not look exactly like the gloves he's wearing, okay? Tell me. Just somebody please tell me that's not exactly the gloves he's wearing. I like the helmet though. The helmet's pretty cool on that one. It's got like 4 horns on it. It kind of has like a really evil kind of a look to it. Although I'm not necessarily entirely sure that frickin' the Necromancer's evil. I feel like they're not evil. Like this, I guess that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from the Necromancer gear. Is they're making the Necromancer look like he's evil, and the Necromancer's not necessarily evil. He just does a kind of magic that people consider to be evil. So like I feel like they're going down the wrong road with some of his designs, because they're going into like the evil genre of like the character, and it's not necessarily that the Necromancer's evil. You know, like Trangul, which is the father of all necromancers, he's not evil. It's more like Gaia. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Gaia from like some of the animes, where like Gaia was like the planet, and like so when you died, your spirit went back to the planet, and then the planet would like put your spirit back into a new body at some point, and so it was like a cycle of rebirth or whatever. Like, the necromancers seem to be like in tune with the cycle of rebirth within the planet, kind of like the afterlife, so to speak. Not necessarily evil, just, you know, like when you die, like there's a spirit, and the spirit can be talked to and all that stuff. Like, you're not actually dead. Like, there's a whole thing here. But if you guys are unaware of this, by the way, the Necromancer actually, the whole entire Necromancer, like, class only exists because Trangul, which is the name of the character, he's like a big god-like character. I'm not sure if you've ever seen him before. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of him. He's actually a dragon. Holy crap, my light just spazzed out. Can you not spaz out, please? Light. Dim. Dim. Okay, so this is Trangul right here. He's a big giant dragon. Alright. Trangul, the one who is forever. So he's basically like a big giant guardian dragon who protects Sanctuary. And he's the one that actually got in communication with the Necromancers, talked about, you know, all of the different magics, and actually taught the magics to Rathma in the first place, who's the one who taught that magic to all of us. So, and Trangul's not evil. Like, Trangul is just like, he just is. He's like a creature of balance, which, you know, says right here, as the fulcrum of balance. They believe that all the elements of creation are tied to him. So he's basically God, right? And God comes down and talks to the Necromancer, and is like, hey, you know, like, you can speak to my creations even after they're dead. And he's like, and teaches the Necromancers how to do so, which is pretty darn cool, right? Let's see here. We got the next one. Didn't they have a... They had another one in here, didn't they? It wasn't just the Necro. I mean, we saw the Necro, we saw the Rogue, we saw the Sorceress. They didn't do a Druid. They didn't. It doesn't look like they did the Druid. So no big old meaty boy Druid. I still want Rod's hoodie. Like,
To the Eternal Realm.
I really want the hoodie that he's got on. Some of the questions that they answered. Let's take a look at some of the questions. Oh yeah, that's the horn that you can get
Actually,
from the level 20 Ashava. I mean, it's interesting, like getting cosmetics like this. One of the things that's really cool, as long as they do not give them out again. So this is the most important thing about this. As long as they never give this cosmetic out again, it's actually really cool to get these cosmetics, because you will have participated in an early part of the game, a beta or whatever it may be, and you get access to these things, okay? And then a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, somebody sees you with this cosmetic and they wonder where you got it from and they want it, and you can smugly say you can't have it, you know, it came from the beta, you suck. And that's probably one of the coolest things about having these cosmetics, is just the bragging rights of, you know, like having something that no one else can get. And as long as they don't ruin that aspect of things, as long as they don't destroy the, you know, like the fun of having an item that no one else can get, like, they're actually really cool to own. It's going to be really neat. Like, especially the puppy. Like, the puppy is going to be, like, absolutely ridiculous to own. Ashava is going to be a fun one at level 20, so you got to fight Ashava at level 20. And if you guys haven't had a chance to fight Ashava, I do have a video going over Ashava, but let me see here. I was gonna see if I could pull that up. Actually, I could pull it up, and we could talk about it right now, because it's definitely something that you guys are gonna have to get used to, because Ashava is one of those beasts that if you don't know how to fight her exactly, if you're not exactly sure, like, things aren't gonna go very well. Do I have Ashava up here? I can't remember if I do. I got tons of footage from the event. Tons and tons of freaking footage from the event, but I don't remember where the Ashava fight is in the list. See if I can find it real quick, and we'll go over Ashava. That is a Drodad. That is not it. I get my own little intro stuck in my head sometimes, guys. You guys might get it stuck in your head, but I also get it stuck in my head. Me also. I'll be humming it at work and stuff. Alright, here we go. I found it! The Ashava fight. Alright, so in the Ashava fight, there's a couple different phases. So let's start at the beginning here, before Ashava starts kicking my butt, which I'm pretty sure she did, but that's fine. So this one right here is her slam. So she has a slam that she does, she hits the floor. It's pretty easy to dodge. It's choreographed, right? So you don't need to worry about this one. This one is really easy to get out of the way of. If you're in the middle of it, you're probably going to have to dodge out. You won't be able to run out. It's too far. But basically, you just get out of the way before she smashes the ground. Like, not that big of a deal. She also does this freaking swipe, which let's just I'll go move by move. So she loves to jump. She changes positions all the time, and I'm pretty sure this is just so you can't just sit there and do nothing. So you're gonna have to pay attention, because what happens is when she jumps away, she gains range, and when she gains range, she can kill you, because one of her most damaging attacks is the frickin' ranged attack she has, which is this one. She's about to use it right now. It's basically she takes this claw, the tip of the claw, and she jams it into the ground. And when she jams the claw into the ground, she frickin' drags it all the way around in a circle, right? But you can clearly see this black line where the claw is jammed into the ground. The closer to the black line that you are, the more damage it does. So when she's doing this, you definitely don't want to be out in the open. And then she follows it up with a second claw, which goes around again. And again, as you can see, we lost somebody there on that second claw. Now, she pretty much just repeats this cycle over and over again. She will do the slam. She does the bite. She will actually bite people. That one is right there. That's pretty simple to avoid. It does a lot of damage, though, so you definitely don't want to get bitten. She then repeats her cycle over and over again. Now, until she actually gets to a lower HP point, she actually won't do anything else. So it's not until she gets to, I think it's about like, I want to say 66%. At about 66%, that's when she starts actually doing more stuff. She'll start doing this back slam. So there's the back slam right there. And it's pretty simple. She slams both of her hands into the ground. She drags her claws backwards in a rear attack, dishing out damage to everybody behind her. You can actually stay safe from this one of two ways. The first way is to just be underneath her, directly underneath her butt. If you're right underneath the eye of the butt, you are safe. However, if you're slightly to the left or you're slightly to the right of the eye of the butt, you are going to die. It does a massive amounts of damage. That back, we call it the back rake. The back rake is just absolutely insane, and you don't want to be anywhere near the back rake when she uses it. Either get out of the way like I did just there, or make sure that you're hugging directly in the center. If you don't feel like you can actually stand directly in the center, then that's not going to work. As you can see, she also eventually starts doing a breath attack, and the breath attack is going to make puddles on the ground. The puddles are pretty nasty. There you go. She's doing the back attack again, so I got out of the way. And did not get out of the way of the slam, unfortunately. But as you can see, the slam didn't actually kill me. But do keep in mind that we're going to be level 20 this time, not level 25, which means that there's a very good chance that that slam could potentially kill you. If you do things correctly, you will not die. If you do things incorrectly, as you can see, like I did, you're going to die. The poison damage that she dishes out is so voracious that if you do get touched by her attack, even if you don't die to the attack, there's a very good chance that she's going to kill you via the poison damage. You need a lot of poison resistance to be able to withstand her poison attacks. So there's either going to be one of two ways that you can deal with it. Either number one is have a whole lot of poison resistance. Number two is don't get hit. It'll burn through your barriers. It'll burn through just about everything. And as you can see right there, I am currently in the center. She used her back rake, and I was able to avoid it. So you can avoid the back rake as long as you are standing directly beneath her at the time when she uses the back rake. It is kind of like a little bit of a fine-tuned position, though. So if you don't get directly underneath of her, you're not gonna survive the back rake. In fact, I've seen so many people in this fight, that's usually the way they die, is they're standing underneath of her, but they're a little bit too far to the left, or they're a little bit too far to the right, and I'll literally watch like 6 or 7 people literally just die immediately as soon as she does the back rake, because they're not standing in the right position. So if you are going to stand underneath of her for this fight, Make sure that you're correctly positioned, otherwise she will kill you. If you're a mage class and you're hanging way back, make sure you don't get hit by that circle attack, because the circle attack will kill you. Honestly, it really comes down to the poison, the back swipe, and the big circle attack. And usually, if you're paying attention and you're keeping up with her, and you're staying underneath of her butthole, right underneath the eye of the butt, if you look up, you should be able to see the eye of the butt. You're fine. The fight, it really isn't that difficult, and it should be 100% doable at level 20. Obviously, she's going to hit harder, and you're going to die more often if you get hit. But if you pay attention and you actually do the mechanics, you should be fine. As they said during the stream, this fight does not scale. Okay, so if you come here at a level 10 or level 5 or on your level like 15 character or whatever, you're going to be dragging down the team as a whole. It's already going to be difficult enough to kill this girl at level 20 instead of level 25, which is the recommended level. So we're already going to be 5 levels under where we're actually supposed to be. And you coming at level 10, dragging down the whole team, ain't going to help nothing. And there's a very good chance we might not even be able to kill Ashava if you guys are all way too low level for the fight. On top of that, she might hit really hard, but she hits a hell of a lot harder when you're under-leveled. So they explained the boss mechanics a while back, and what they were talking about was that the armor effectiveness goes down the higher level the monster is that you're fighting. So she's already going to be 5 levels above us, which means she's already going to hit like a Mack truck. And at level 10 or level 15 or something like that, it's definitely going to hit a hell of a lot harder than you think. Not really quite sure what else to go over. It's going to be so fun to have the puppy, though. We don't get him until launch, though, unfortunately. Don't get him until launch. It's so very sad. I really don't agree with that statement, Maxim. I've played Diablo 4, and I've played Diablo 3, and I've played Diablo 2. Diablo 3 does terrible. I really don't like Diablo 3. It's really not one of my favorite games. And Diablo 4 doesn't really look anything like Diablo 3. The people who've been saying that, I don't really know where they're coming from other than they're just knee-jerk reacting, because I've literally gone over all the games, looked at them, played them for countless hours, and honestly, the game that Diablo 4 seems to resemble the most is Diablo 1 out of all of them. It's dark, it's gritty. The art style and the vibe of the game that it gives off, like all of it seems very much like Diablo 1. The only thing that's even remotely Diablo 3 is the combat style, which they specifically said that Diablo 4 is copying the combat style of Diablo 3. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. They didn't really give us a whole lot more information other than that. I mean, they told us when the seasons were coming, told us there was no leaderboard, gave us some information about the Battle Pass yet again. Not really sure why they're so focused on the Battle Pass. I guess it's because so many people think they're going to be able to purchase an advantage with the Battle Pass. But they've already said multiple times that's not the case, but I guess people are still high on that train. The, Yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos. I will be back later today to pick up Season 4 for Diablo 2. We also have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom coming tomorrow. I believe it's a midnight launch, so we'll probably play Diablo throughout the day, and then we'll probably pick up some Zelda, during the nighttime. I mean, it's going to be kind of a crazy day. We've got, obviously Season 4, and then frickin' Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I believe, is at like 11:59, p.m. or, on the 11th. And then, obviously, the Server Slam starts on the 12th around, 2 o'clock EST or whatever. I can't remember the exact time the Server Slam starts. I'm pretty sure it was listed in the video that I just watched. But obviously, I'm going to probably try and get some Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in before frickin' Diablo 4 Server Slam. And then we're going to hop into Diablo 4 Server Slam and check that out. I would like to get my Ashava trophy at the very least. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. And keep watching.